The peaceful human world could vanish in an instant. One day, the sky tore open, paving the way for a horde of hideous monsters from another world to invade. The military's firepower was merely a tickle to them. Humanity fell into despair as they were mercilessly slaughtered. Just when it seemed all was lost, they appeared, the awakened ones, possessing extraordinary powers, known as heroes. Boom! Buildings crumbled under the monsters' firepower. The city engulfed in smoke and flames. Civilians fled for their lives, while a colossal three-eyed monster circled in the sky like an ominous deity. A mother clutched her child, despairing as the monster's shadow enveloped them. The terrified child cried out, "Mommy, I'm scared." Thud! A figure landed on the ground, blocking the path of death. A cloaked swordsman appeared, standing alone with his sword between the mother and child and the colossal monster. He yelled for them to run, then charged to hold off the monster, but was immediately swatted away like a fly. Another young man, wearing a blue jacket and wielding a high-tech greatsword, stood guard for the fleeing woman. The young man's face showed clear tension, but his eyes held no trace of fear. He swung his sword, ready to fight the formidable three-eyed monster to the death. Whoosh! With just a gentle flap of its wings, the monster sent him flying straight into a wall like a ball. Cough! The young man coughed up a mouthful of blood. It seemed this fight was far beyond his current level. Before he could recover, another monster with a mouthful of sharp fangs lunged from behind for a sneak attack. Slash! A red-haired swordsman appeared like a deity, swinging a blade of blue light that cleaved the attacking monster. With a single strike, the monster's head was severed from its neck. That's how a true master fights. The battle raged across the city, with other heroes also fiercely fighting a swarm of flying monsters. A green-haired hero unleashed a punch enveloped in dazzling golden energy, pulverizing another monster. Vice Commander Riko Dairen used a strange device to control the monster, while Ace Sakuma Retsu enveloped his hands in flames, preparing to deliver the finishing blow. Sakuma Retsu smirked confidently, the flames in his hands flaring fiercely. Game over. A colossal fire dragon technique swept across the battlefield, incinerating the monsters into ash amidst the ruined city. The hero team stood proudly in the street, cheered on by the surviving crowd. "We're saved. Hooray for Commander Kanda." A young boy pointed towards the heroes, excitedly telling his mother, "Mommy, when I grow up, I want to be as cool as Commander." The profiles of the ace trio were displayed. Commander Kanda Yu, a lightning elementalist, Vice Commander Riko Dairen, a psychic, and attack team ace Sakuma Retsu, a fire elementalist. Hidden in the shadows, a brown-haired young man looked towards the heroes with determined eyes, secretly thinking that one day he would also possess such power. A somber scene unfolded. Numerous bodies, covered with white sheets, were neatly lined up on the street, awaiting transport by truck. The female healer, Shiraishi Chiyo, gave an antidote to the brown-haired young man, warning that the bodily fluids of the winged tribe monsters were extremely poisonous. The brown-haired young man clutched his chest, coughing a few times. His wounds still tormented him. He recalled someone's venomous taunt. "A weak, incompetent fool dares to solo a monster?" Sakuma Retsu and Riko Dairen looked at him with disdain, bluntly cursing. "Are you stupid? Don't waste our time." The brown-haired young man hung his head, silently enduring the insult. "If someone like you is considered a hero, it's truly a disgrace." Sakuma Retsu sneered, delivering a fatal blow with his words. "Do you think doing this will erase the label of being the traitor's son?" Struck at his deepest pain, the brown-haired young man snapped his head up, veins bulging in his neck as he roared. "My father is not a traitor." Commander Kanda Yu coldly approached, his tone condescending. "Who do you think you're talking to?" Slap. Kanda Yu didn't say much, swinging his hand and slapping Sakuma Retsu directly in the face, sending him flying. Riko Dairen explained to the brown-haired young man, who was kneeling on the ground. "Your father, the former commander, abandoned his injured comrades and fled to another dimension. If that's not betrayal, then what is?" The brown-haired young man froze, his face darkening, as he mumbled in admission. "I didn't know about that." But then he looked up, tears welling in his eyes, and cried out in despair, "But my father would never betray humanity." Sakuma Retsu pinned the brown-haired young man down with his foot, growling, "Shut up!" The protagonist lay flattened on the ground, grinding his teeth in bitter resentment. His eyes flashed with an unconvinced gaze. Clearly, he hadn't given up yet. Sakuma Retsu sneered, his voice full of sarcasm. "What's with that look? Still not enough?" He arrogantly challenged. "Fine, prove it yourself. Come at me." Then added with contempt, "I only need one finger to send you packing." Provoked, the brown-haired young man roared and charged straight in like a moth to a flame. Sakuma Retsu stood still, his entire body erupting with fiery energy, his overwhelming aura making the protagonist inwardly tremble. Terrifying. As a result, the protagonist hit the ground again. Sakuma Retsu and Riko Dairen watched with amusement. He actually charged in. What an idiot. Shiraishi Chiyo ran over from a distance, shouting loudly for them to stop. The healer quickly helped the brown-haired young man up, loudly defending him. "Don't make a child bear the sins of their parents. Stop it now." Riko Dairen and Sakuma Retsu merely gave faint smiles, thinking she was too soft and would eventually be deceived by the boy. Thump, thump. The brown-haired young man's heart suddenly pounded wildly. He clutched his chest, his face contorted in pain. "What is this? My heart hurts so much." Dark veins began to bulge on his neck and face, and his eyes also turned a ghastly, glowing yellow. Shiraishi Chiyo's face paled as she instantly realized. Oh no, it's the winged tribe's poison. It turned out that during the battle, he had been hit by several poisoned darts when he was knocked away. Fortunately, Shiraishi Chiyo still had one last dose of antidote in her hand. Just then, Commander Kanda Yu appeared, coldly blocking her hand. Wait, now is not the time to use it, Kanda Yu commanded, his voice devoid of emotion. Chiyo, go check on the unconscious child over there. Shiraishi Chiyo hesitated, looking awkwardly at the writhing brown-haired young man and the unyielding commander. A strange black-haired man appeared, smirking confidently, as he told Shiraishi Chiyo, "It's fine, leave it to me." Shiraishi Chiyo reluctantly nodded, leaving the brown-haired young man writhing in pain. She ran off to complete her mission. While the new commander flashed a meaningful smile, the brown-haired young man crawled on the ground, desperately looking at the antidote vial in the stranger's hand. The black-haired commander leaned down, his voice full of mockery. "Do you want it?" A large white wolf approached, and the commander remarked, "But this dog doesn't look well either. It might also be poisoned." The commander sat down, posing a difficult problem. "There's only one dose of antidote left. What should we do now?" Sakuma Retsu immediately spoke up, his voice full of disdain. "Why hesitate? This dog is still useful in combat, but what can this guy do?" Riko Dairen chimed in, sarcastically. "Just finished playing the hero, and now you're going to let the dog die?" The black-haired commander stood up, sneering. "It seems everyone shares the same opinion." Pop! He decisively flicked open the cap of the antidote vial. With a wicked smile, the commander inverted the vial, pouring all the precious liquid onto the ground. The brown-haired young man could only stare blankly as the antidote flowed onto the floor. The white wolf also silently watched the spreading puddle of medicine. The wolf casually walked towards the puddle, its tail wagging. It lifted a hind leg and began to urinate directly into the puddle of antidote. The white wolf looked up at the sky with an extremely satisfied expression. Even worse, it then defecated right in the middle of that sacred puddle. The brown-haired young man was utterly shocked, yelling in helplessness. "Stop," the black-haired commander nonchalantly replied. "What's the big deal? Has not poison, just has a stomachache, right?" The brown-haired young man lay slumped, his voice a bitter whisper. "Why?" he cried out in indignation. "What did I do wrong? Why are you treating me so cruelly?" The black-haired commander stood there, coldly delivering a dagger-like reply. "Because you're an eyesore," he continued to insult. "The child of a traitor should live like a worm, yet you dare to demand to join the hero squad?" The commander placed his foot on the young man's head, grinding it into the ground. "Your existence is a mistake. Just looking at you makes me sick." Whoosh! A devastating kick landed squarely on the brown-haired young man's face. The brown-haired young man lay sprawled next to the puddle of antidote and dog feces, listening to the commander's judgment. "Trash remains trash. You should have been discarded long ago." The young man's eyes widened in horror as he heard the finishing blow. "But if your name isn't on the casualty list, you'll become a pathetic deserter, just like your father." The commander turned to his two subordinates, ordering, "Seal off this area. Don't let anyone near. Just say there are still monsters lurking." Watching from afar, the three figures departed, and the commander gloated. Finally got rid of that burden. Now, time to party. Left alone amidst the ruins, the brown-haired young man could only grit his teeth and curse. Damn it. Standing in the distance, his two former teammates watched the brown-haired young man trying to get back on his feet. Suddenly, the brown-haired young man collapsed to the ground, seemingly having reached his limit. He slammed his fist into the ground, screaming internally, "Damn it, I risked my life to protect the people. Why am I being treated like this?" His eyes burned with extreme resentment, and a surge of dark red energy began to erupt. From within the dark energy, the hovering silhouette of a woman with demon horns appeared, exuding an overwhelming aura. The brown-haired young man startled, sensing another presence, and turned his head. "Who's there?" He tried to squint, thinking the poison was blurring his vision, unable to clearly see the opponent's form. Finally realizing, he panicked. A mostro. A surviving mostro. The demon girl stood there, proud and cold, her black hair fluttering amidst the desolate landscape. The battered, brown-haired protagonist bitterly admitted that his current pathetic skill level couldn't even handle a minor mostro, thinking this time he was truly doomed. Flashbacks flooded back, of the young boy years ago, excitedly showing his parents his award-winning essay, "Dad is a Hero," praised by his teacher for his potential as a writer. The boy proudly declared he didn't want to be a writer, but wanted to become a real hero like his father. His father, Ren Haneda, proudly lifted his son, laughing loudly. "Haha, truly my son." But then, tragedy struck. Two cold officials appeared at their door, announcing that Ren Haneda had betrayed humanity. All their assets were confiscated, and the entire family was evicted. On her deathbed, his dying mother entrusted her son, telling him to trust his father and uncover the truth behind everything. The boy cried out desperately as his mother took her last breath. Back in reality, the protagonist gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with determination. "I promised mother, I won't die in this corner. I am Ren Haneda's son." He struggled to his feet, dark red energy swirling around him, roaring. "I won't give up." The demon girl stood there, her sharp eyes observing the prey's burst of willpower. The protagonist pointed the iron pipe at her, yelling, "I'm not afraid of Kanda, or even you." He clenched his teeth, pouring his last ounce of strength into a desperate, suicidal attack. With a furious roar, he swung his weapon and charged straight at his opponent. "Let me show you." He raised the iron pipe high, bringing down a heaven-shattering blow onto the demon girl who stood still as a statue. She simply raised one hand gently, her icy gaze showing not an ounce of regard. Thwack! The attack was effortlessly blocked. A massive surge of energy erupted from her hand, blowing the protagonist away like a fly. He let out a pathetic scream as he was sent flying. His body flew backward, slamming hard onto the road, his weapon flung far away. He lay sprawled on the ground, coughing up blood. The protagonist looked up in despair, stunned by his opponent's power. So strong. S rank? But why is an S rank powerhouse here? The protagonist realized he had fallen for a trick. The previous small fry were just bait, and this formidable foe was the true boss lying in ambush. He scrambled to his feet, determined to report back to headquarters before it was too late. Before he could do anything, the demoness charged with terrifying speed, tearing through the air. With a whoosh, she closed in right before him, her eyes as cold as ice. A red streak flashed past. The protagonist only managed to see a negative image of himself before taking the full force of the attack. The demoness landed gracefully while the brown-haired man was blown away like trash. She landed, speaking disdainfully. "I didn't expect you lowly humans to be so fragile." The protagonist lay flattened on the ground, bleeding profusely. While the demoness muttered that human souls were strangely powerful, she stood there, looking down at her gasping trophy with an air of complete dominance. The demoness slowly lowered her hand, preparing to finish off her prey. Her hand obscured the protagonist's vision. Everything plunged into darkness. His soul drifted, falling freely into a deep blue, boundless cosmic space. Suddenly, another self with black hair, six-pack abs, and an overbearing aura appeared in the soul space. This entity reached out its hand, and streams of blue energy flowed, seemingly seizing control. The blue eyes of the awakened self flared brightly. At the same moment, the protagonist's eyes in the real world snapped open in surprise. The brown-haired man shot up screaming, drenched in sweat, realizing he was on a luxurious bed and not a battlefield. He panted heavily, trying to compose himself after the terrifying nightmare. He looked around the unfamiliar room, his mind still haunted by the monster. Where am I? I was clearly on the battlefield. That's right, the Mastro. The man looked at his hands, utterly bewildered. Am I still alive? What's the situation outside? He stepped barefoot onto the floor, beginning to figure out the current situation. The brown-haired man called out in the luxurious, empty room. Is anyone there? I have something important to do. He glanced towards the mirror. His sharp, cold eyes and the scar on his cheek looked extremely unfamiliar. His entire body appeared in the mirror, rippling six-pack abs, longer hair, and a pair of pitch-black demon horns. The man was stunned by his new form. A faint, dark aura emanated around him. The door swung open, and two fiery-figured women entered, light streaming in from behind them. The black-haired demoness spoke to confirm, "He's awake," while the brown-haired girl beside her nodded. It seems the fusion was successful. The protagonist stood frozen in the middle of the floor, surrounded by shattered mirror fragments. He clenched his fists, his body trembling with shock and rage. Looking at his reflection in a shattered mirror fragment, he couldn't believe his eyes. Is this me? His shadow on the floor clearly showed the form of a demon, making him scream in his mind. I've turned into a Mastro. What the hell is going on? The two women stepped closer, and the brown-haired man looked up at them with hateful eyes. He immediately recognized the black-haired demoness, the one who had almost killed him on the battlefield. Memories of the terrifying battle flooded back. His face darkened as he realized his enemy was standing right before him. The image of the demoness, delivering the killing blow, flashed in his mind. His rage erupted. Without a word, he grabbed a broken piece of wood and growled. "You're the one who turned me into this." He charged wildly, raising his makeshift weapon high and aiming directly at the black-haired demoness. The black-haired demoness remained still, but the brown-haired attendant beside her smirked. Whoosh! The attendant moved her leg with lightning speed, landing a precise roundhouse kick to the protagonist's side. Caught completely off guard, the brown-haired man staggered and then fell face-first onto the floor. The attendant instantly pinned him down, held a sharp knife to his throat, and growled. "What do you intend to do to the princess?" Pinned, face down. The half-demon man gritted his teeth in frustration, but could do nothing. The demon princess looked down, a cold expression on her face as she heard her subordinate call her princess. Whoosh! The brown-haired attendant maintained her posture, pinning the half-demon protagonist firmly to the floor. The demon princess spoke to confirm her identity. "I am the princess of the demon clan, ranked as the first by the human military." Her gaze was sharp, full of condescension. "Don't you know who I am?" The protagonist was speechless, his brain starting to process information. How was a low-level individual like me assigned the task of hunting a high-ranking figure? The attendant explained bluntly. "If the princess hadn't extracted your soul, you would surely be dead." The half-demon man was bewildered, not understanding what soul extraction was. Information about the Mastro species began to appear in his mind. The Demon Clan, Winged Clan, Beast Clan, and Armored Clan. The Winged Clan specialized in aerial combat and carried deadly toxins. The Beast Clan were formidable in pure speed and physical strength. The Armored Clan were well-rounded in offense and defense, truly heavy-duty tanks. And finally, the Demon Clan, who looked most like humans but possessed psychic abilities. There were even rumors that high-ranking individuals could separate their souls from their bodies. He was stunned to realize the bitter truth. So, my soul has been swapped with this Demon Clan vessel? The half-demon man shot up into a sitting position, looking at his new body in panic. What about my original body? The demon princess began to explain about the winged clan's toxins, which could corrode an elephant in just 10 minutes. She smirked with a sinister charm. Your body has probably already been disposed of. The protagonist's face turned pale, utterly shocked by the bombshell news. A cleaner in a hazmat suit was diligently wiping away a pool of blood, illustrating the fate of his old corpse. He staggered to his feet, looking down at the muscular six-pack body that wasn't his own, and could only utter a helpless ha. The protagonist sat slumped on the floor, his mind unable to process the news that his old body had turned to ash. It's been disposed of? The demon princess casually discussed buying battleground cleanup robots with her attendant, conveniently illustrating the scene of the protagonist's old body being cremated by a drone. The princess declared coldly, "What happens to that empty shell is none of my concern. Focus on getting used to your new body." She smirked, her eyes full of mockery. "Don't be difficult." The young man retorted, his voice strained, standing up and flexing his muscles. "I am not your subordinate. I have no obligation to obey your commands." He roared, asserting his true nature. "I am human." He directly questioned the two demons. "Why did you turn me into this? Is it to extract information about humanity and the heroes?" The demon princess only remained silent, her icy gaze refusing to answer. The protagonist thought to himself, his face filled with determination. "Too bad for you. You've picked the wrong guy to bring here." Thinking quickly, he acted, shooting off like an arrow, roaring, "If I'm to be exploited by these monstro, I'd rather die again." The female attendant cast a disdainful glance, her tone condescending. Still resisting? Without further words, the attendant lunged forward with a kick, cursing him directly, "Weakling," and landed a kick to his ribs. She continued to overpower him, punching the protagonist directly in the face, sending him flying. Too weak. She delivered a devastating overhead kick, insulting him. "Don't be complacent with such meager skill. Even if you're just a vessel. For such a weakling to become part of the demon clan is truly disgraceful." Called a weakling, the protagonist gritted his teeth, hot blood rushing to his head. He growled back, "Who are you calling a weakling?" And suddenly, a surge of blue lightning erupted around him. Boom! He charged forward at terrifying speed, his hand crackling with lightning, striking the female attendant directly. The counterattack was too sudden, sending the attendant flying like a rag doll. The female attendant coughed up blood, her face utterly shocked, while the demon princess, watching from afar, also widened her eyes in surprise. The protagonist stood there, staring blankly at his hand. He himself didn't understand what the hell had just happened. The half-demon protagonist stared blankly at his sparking hand, muttering, "What was that just now?" The female attendant clutched her wound, gritting her teeth as she realized the power of the demon clan. The demon princess, from afar, explained that demon clan power is linked to the soul, wondering how a mere human could possess it. The half-demon felt a surging power within his body, an unprecedented sensation that made him wonder, "What is this?" The demon princess's purple eyes widened, clearly witnessing an unbelievable phenomenon. Without further ado, the demon princess shot off like a red streak of light, deciding to test him herself. With a whoosh, she was already close to the protagonist, her hand reaching out with unavoidable speed. Caught swiftly, the half-demon was lifted into the air, enveloped in the princess's blazing red energy. He was thrown straight onto the bed, completely losing control against her overwhelming power. The demon princess landed, her hands pressing against the protagonist's chest, effortlessly pinning him down. She sat directly on top of him, her cold eyes looking down at the one beneath her. The half-demon let out a groan, completely subdued and utterly bewildered by what had just happened. He angrily roared, "What the hell is going on?" His face still etched with shock. The demon princess grabbed his collar, her blazing red energy suppressing him, commanding, "Get up, get up." The protagonist gritted his teeth, trying to force himself up, but it was useless. His body wouldn't budge. "I can't move." The princess realized she couldn't sense any demonic energy from him anymore, but still couldn't explain the previous burst of lightning power. Her eyes gleamed with a spark of interest, seemingly having found a new amusement. She stood up, adjusted her attire, as if about to do something important. No sooner had she thought it, she plopped down onto the half-demon again. Pinned down, the half-demon was utterly bewildered, stammering, "What the hell are you going to do?" The demon princess said nothing more, and with one hand, grabbed the blanket. With a swift motion, she pulled the blanket over both of them, turning the bed into their private domain. Meanwhile, outside the room, strange vines began to creep along the stone wall. They squeezed through the door crack, looking like a living alarm system being activated. A flower bud at the end of a vine subtly snaked through the keyhole, beginning to scout the situation. Suddenly, the bud burst open, revealing a bloodshot eye darting around, observing. The surveillance eye peered inside, recording the scene on the large bed. But this makeshift security system didn't escape the female attendant's notice. She swiftly grabbed the vine with one hand. Without a moment's hesitation, the brown-haired attendant yanked the vine from the door. The surveillance eye was pulled back, shrinking in panic before being dealt with. Crunch! The female attendant crushed the eye with her heel, neatly disposing of the nuisance. Her face hardened, clearly displeased at being sidelined by her mistress. She forcefully tore apart the remaining vines, blazing red energy erupting around her. Inside the room, the demon princess still held the half-demon pinned down, her eyes full of power. She tilted her head slightly, a knowing smirk appearing on her face, preparing to get down to business. The half-demon's face flushed red, his mind reeling. Beautiful, incredibly beautiful. Are all members of the demon clan this stunning? He quickly shook his head to calm himself, his mind screaming. Wake up, you idiot. I'm human, she's a mastro. He began to frantically speculate. What exactly is this woman planning? Is this a honey trap, or a new form of torture? He glanced down, sweat pouring off him like rain. The half-demon swallowed hard, thinking of the worst-case scenario. Is she planning to drain me dry? The demon princess leaned close, her purple eyes staring directly at the half-demon, who was frozen stiff like a log. Suddenly, she bent down and kissed him, utterly shocking the virgin. Damn it, my first kiss was stolen by a demon at a life-or-death moment like this. He closed his eyes in resignation, a thought still nagging him. And it's a demon no less. Smack! A sound echoed as she pulled away. The half-demon suddenly felt something slippery being pushed into his mouth, his eyes wide with horror. He shot up, frantically clawing at his throat and yelling, Spit it out! What the hell is this? That's disgusting. An object resembling an eye, with a long, wriggling tail, lay neatly on the bed. The half-demon turned pale looking at it. The demon princess coldly explained, That is the mandala eye, a scouting creature. The half-demon asked blankly, Scouting? Is this place being monitored? The brown-haired attendant reported. A few have escaped. It seems there are still those constantly worried about Shura's fate. The demon princess declared bluntly. Shura is the owner of that body and my fiancé. The half-demon's face went blank, his brain unable to process the information fast enough. Shura? She continued. We were supposed to get married today, but he disappeared. The princess's gaze turned cold and sharp. When I found him, he was already dead. A desolate scene appeared. The princess stood there, looking at Shura's corpse amidst the rubble, helplessly wondering, why was he there, and who killed him? I don't know, she asserted. But there's one thing I know for sure. The half-demon looked down at his body, hearing the princess affirm. Those wounds were not inflicted by humans, he muttered, speculating. Not human? A mastro? Or internal strife? The princess explained the rules of the demon clan. The demon clan values strength above all else. Even the royal family is no exception. If you don't constantly grow stronger, you will be eliminated by the era. Her eyes flashed with determination. Shura was the strongest warrior of the demon clan. Losing him means I immediately become a hunted target, the demon princess coldly explained. To conceal his death, I was forced to merge a living soul with this body. The half-demon frowned, beginning to understand the situation. So you brought me here not to blackmail the military? The princess confirmed with a sarcastic tone. Exactly. After all, they were the ones who abandoned you, weren't they? Hearing this, the half-demon froze, memories of being abandoned flooding back. The brown-haired attendant added another painful jab, just a mere grunt. Since there were no other survivors, the princess reluctantly chose you. The half-demon gritted his teeth, clenching his fists, resentful at being treated like trash. The demon princess narrowed her eyes, issuing an ultimatum. Choose. Cooperate with us. Or die again. The half-demon remained silent, his eyes flashing with calculation, clearly weighing his options in a bind. A moment later, the demon princess handed him a tablet, with a mysterious expression. He took it and asked in surprise, What is this? On the screen was a scene of a commendation ceremony, where heroes declared they had defeated the Mastro, protecting the lives and property of the people. A crowd was cheering enthusiastically as a high-ranking officer stood on the podium, preparing to present a medal. The old general solemnly declared, Captain Kanda Yu, for your outstanding command in this campaign, we award you the first-class medal. Kanda Yu stepped onto the stage, his cold aura dominating the entire space. He stood opposite the general, preparing to receive the glory that rightfully belonged to the deceased. The general opened the box. Inside was a brightly shining star-shaped medal. He carefully pinned the medal onto Kanda Yu's chest. Both saluted each other according to military protocol, a perfect charade for the public. Below the stage, Riko Dairen and Sakuma Retsu, along with their teammates, cheered excitedly. That's our captain. Kanda Yu accepted the glory with an expressionless face, while in the distance, the image of a mother holding her child's hand and carrying flowers appeared as a reminder of what he had protected. A young boy ran onto the stage, handed the bouquet to Kanda Yu, and thanked him profusely. Sir, thank you for saving my mother and me. The boy's eyes shining brightly, he insisted on Kanda Yu teaching him how to fight to become a Mastro-slaying hero. Below the stage, two of Kanda Yu's teammates smirked, thinking the kid was still too green and naive, and that fighting should be left to the adults. The boy puffed out his cheeks and argued vehemently. I'm not a child. I'm very strong. Kanda Yu's teammates could only hold their stomachs, laughing at the boy's innocence. Kanda Yu lifted the boy up, a perfect display of affection for the public. He smiled, and declared to the crowd that eliminating Mostro was the hero's responsibility, and hoped the younger generation would follow in their footsteps. Kanda Yu began an impassioned speech, emphasizing that this path demanded sacrifice, and that heroes were the last line of defense. His tone became stern, fleeing from the enemy, fearing death, abandoning civilians, all are crimes equivalent to murder. Kanda Yu's face darkened, one eye obscured, and he growled, We will not forgive traitors. Hearing this, the crowd below erupted, shouting for the execution of the disgraceful traitors. Back in reality, the protagonist in his demon form was stunned, speechless. his eyes wide with disbelief as he watched that ridiculous charade through the tablet. The horned demon girl held out the screen, displaying a wanted poster with the protagonist's human face. Former hero member. Fugitive. The protagonist gritted his teeth, clenching the tablet in his hand. Veins bulging with anger. His rage flared, his eyes glowing red, his entire face plunged into the darkness of hatred. The horned demon girl coldly stated, "You don't have to cooperate, but no one will thank you. You will live your entire life branded as a traitor." She continued to taunt, striking directly at his pride. "Dying unjustly without a chance to clear your name, don't you feel resentful?" The protagonist roared in his mind, admitting the harsh truth. "Of course I do. Of course I'm resentful." A flood of painful memories rushed back. His family shattered, his mother dying of illness, he himself beaten and humiliated, all because of the title, Son of a Traitor. He stared intently at the image of Kanda Yu playing the hero on stage, his hatred having found its target. "You Kanda, everything you've done to me." The protagonist furiously stomped on the tablet, veins bulging as he growled. "I will return this to you twofold." The demon princess merely smirked meaningfully, clearly pleased with his decision. Both strode together through a colossal stone gate, entering the territory of the demon clan. In the gloomy great hall, the protagonist in his new attire and the demon princess walked with imposing authority, looking every bit like a true formidable pair. Before them lay a colossal black dragon, prostrate in the courtyard of an ancient ruin. Both stood high above, looking down at the enormous demonic beast. Its aura was far from ordinary. The protagonist looked surprised, turning to ask, "Is this a mount of the demon clan?" The black dragon immediately sensed something, its blazing golden eyes opening with full vigilance. With a sudden movement, the dragon lunged up, letting out a hostile roar aimed directly at the protagonist. The demon princess gently extended her hand, mystical purple magic currents radiating from her palm. Her magic enveloped the black dragon's head, instantly suppressing its ferocity. She explained, "This is Shura's mount. Your body belongs to Shura, but your soul is human, which is why the demonic beast reacted so strongly." The demon princess clenched her hand, the purple magic condensing, appearing like a master of the game. A purple magic ring appeared in her palm, radiating dark energy. The protagonist took the ring, and she said, "Wear this. It will mask your human scent." A brown-haired attendant appeared, handing the protagonist a towering stack of documents and announcing, "This is data related to Shura. Learn it all before we reach the demon palace." The protagonist hugged the thick stack of papers, his face contorted at the sheer volume of information he had to cram. He yelled at the attendant, "How many days do you think I need to memorize all of this?" But she merely replied coldly, "I don't care." The protagonist turned to the demon princess for help, but only received a challenging smirk in return. She issued a gentle warning, yet filled with menace. "You don't have to memorize it. But if you make even the slightest mistake," the demon princess cast a sharp gaze, delivering a blunt threat, "I will kill you." The protagonist remained silent, his face expressionless at the threat, his arms still clutching the documents. Whoosh! From the shadows, colossal black spikes emerged, signaling an overwhelming presence. A pair of enormous black dragon wings tore through the air, their single flap generating a terrifying gust of wind. All three, the protagonist, the princess, and the attendant, were now settled on the black dragon's back, soaring away. The protagonist stood on the dragon's back, the wind tousling his long hair, his gaze fixed forward. The black dragon sped away at dizzying speed, and the protagonist looked down at the ground, wondering, is this the world inside the gate? The scenery of an entirely unfamiliar land unfolded below. Contrary to his imagination, this was a bustling city where horned demon clan members walked and lived like ordinary people. In a tavern, demon clan members clinked their beer mugs, laughing and chatting merrily as if no war had ever occurred. A cheerful street vendor called out, "I've just finished making steamed buns." The protagonist was speechless, his mind filled with conflict. "I thought the Mastro were a barbaric horde, but their lives are like this?" The demon princess stood beside him, her tone casual. "Your world isn't much different. You'll get used to it quickly." The protagonist smirked, retorting immediately, "Not much different? I don't think so at all." She began to lecture. "We have morals and laws, living to help each other, while you only know killing and theft." The protagonist pointed at the modern items in the demon clan's homes, countering, "Aren't most of these taken from humans?" The brown-haired attendant interjected with the logic of the strong. "Those are spoils of war. Take what you can. If you're dissatisfied, try to take them back." The protagonist lowered his head, his voice contemptuous. "In the end, thieves can only speak with the logic of a thief." His blunt and sharp words silenced the demon princess, leaving her stunned. She narrowed her eyes, seemingly provoked but also somewhat intrigued by this Shura. The sky suddenly darkened with a swarm of colossal horseflies with blazing red wings, their buzzing sounding like the engines of death. While riding the dragon smoothly, the protagonist and the demon princess were suddenly blocked by the swarm of insect monsters, their killing intent erupting. The protagonist looked extremely annoyed, as if he was about to clean up a troublesome mess. In contrast, the demon princess maintained a poker face, raising her hand with imposing authority, like a superior. The black dragon roared, soaring past the swarm of horseflies, leaving a blazing red energy trail tearing through space. The protagonist, still bewildered, exclaimed, "What are those bugs? Why are there so many?" The princess casually explained, Those are abyssal horseflies. If one stings you, the pain will last for several days. With a confident expression, she commanded, "We will descend." The black dragon obeyed, roaring once before beginning its dive downwards. Both rode on the dragon's back, plummeting straight down into a strange land, piercing through layers of dense fog. As soon as they descended, the protagonist felt an unpleasant stench assault his nose. He immediately covered his mouth, grimacing and cursing. "Ugh, it stinks." The demon princess glanced at him, her voice even. "That is miasma." Both, along with the dragon, looked down at a deep purple sea, from which deadly toxic air emanated. Beneath the surface, a colossal monster fish was being savagely torn apart by another. A brutal scene of survival unfolded before their eyes, the blood and organs of the monsters staining the purple sea red. A colossal aquatic monster with blazing red tentacles emerged, seizing an unfortunate fish and tearing it in half. The protagonist was stunned by the horrifying sight, muttering to himself, "That thing is," he immediately realized, the abyss, a place intersecting with the sea of that world. The demon princess spoke, her voice full of challenge. "I don't know what rules you're talking about, but we have our own rules of survival, and these are them." The demon princess declared a simple, yet cruel truth. The strong devour the weak. She further explained that the water in the abyss contained extremely potent toxins, permeating both the land and the air. Amidst the deathly land full of bones, she asserted, "Here, the weak don't even have the right to live." A horde of demon warriors rushed into battle, slaughtering each other, for without resources, they could only plunder to survive. Beneath the miasmic sea, a colossal sea monster was tearing apart its prey in an explosion of purple energy. The protagonist mused, repeating the philosophy of this place. "Life belongs to the strong." The brown-haired attendant continued coldly, completing the other half. "Death belongs to the weak," the demon princess concluded, her gaze sharp. "This is the sole rule of the demon clan." The protagonist suddenly realized, recalling how human soldiers who had attempted to invade all died from poisoning. He mumbled, "Could this be the reason?" Both stood gazing at the endless miasmic sea, the protagonist lost in thoughtful silence. A bold thought flashed in his mind. "If I'm going to escape, this is the chance." He glanced at the princess, his hand raised as if to act, but then he paused. He told himself to calm down. "No, I don't have enough information. It's too dangerous." Moreover, he knew full well that if he returned like this, no one would believe him, and he might even be eliminated by Kanda Yu again. The princess suddenly turned and asked what he was thinking, startling him, and he stammered in denial. "Huh? I'm not thinking anything." She smirked and commanded, "We're almost at the center of the abyss. Hold on tight." Whoosh! The black dragon suddenly accelerated, and the unprepared protagonist let out a piercing scream. The dragon shot forth like a blurry black streak, tearing through space. It performed an extremely sharp turn in midair, defying all laws of physics. The poor protagonist's face was distorted by the G-force, blood gushing from his mouth. The protagonist gritted his teeth, trying to endure the terrifying pressure as the dragon sliced through the wind. His face contorted, screaming in vain as the dragon put him through hell. Ahead, a colossal demon castle majestically appeared amidst the lands of the abyss. Thud! The black dragon landed directly without slowing down, tossing the protagonist away like a sack of trash. He staggered and collapsed to his knees, his head spinning, vomiting from the unforgettable ride. In a daze, he looked up, saw the blurry figure of the princess, and mumbled, "Grandma." Then he grinned widely, spreading his arms like a child. "Did Grandma come to pick me up?" Slap! The princess said no more, immediately delivering a thunderous slap that sent him tumbling. The slap was so powerful it created an explosion of dust, blowing away everything nearby. Lying sprawled on the ground, he could only let out a weak groan. "It hurts." The half-demon scrambled to his feet, his face smeared with dirt, his eyes still dazed after the devastating blow. Before his eyes was a colossal, intricately carved gate, and he realized, this is the demon clan's palace. The princess and the attendant were already waiting. Behind them lay the dragons of the other generals. The princess glanced at the dragons, her voice icy. "It seems the other demon generals have arrived." The attendant reported that those 3 demon generals were incredibly ambitious, powerful enough to challenge the princess's throne. The attendant turned and sharply questioned the protagonist. "Have you reviewed the documents?" Which froze him. Seeing his bewildered expression, she growled, "Don't, tell me you don't remember anything." She swiftly drew a short dagger, pressed it against his face, and warned, "Deceiving the Demon King is a grave crime. If you make even a small mistake, I will kill you first to protect the princess." The protagonist was no pushover either, shouting directly at her, "We are allies. If you can't trust me, then just kill me." The attendant simply replied, "Fine," while the princess's powerful heel filled the frame, asserting who was truly in charge here. The demon princess let out an "oh," while the attendant behind her continued to glare daggers at the protagonist. Unexpectedly, the princess turned back, her tone somewhat softer. "Anyway, be careful." Our protagonist froze for a few seconds, seemingly a bit surprised by this sudden concern. Regaining his composure, he crossed his arms and boasted loudly, "You people don't know this, but I used to be called the military's strongest brain." A flashback appeared, as he explained his role was always to analyze enemies and find their weaknesses. As he himself possessed no special abilities, he confidently declared that memorizing the characteristics of monsters was child's play. Continuing to boast, he pointed to his temple, asserting that he had memorized all information about the demon clan. He gave a thumbs up, smiling confidently to reassure the princess. Just rest assured. Ha, the protagonist smirked, showing that he had everything under control. The Great Hall's doors opened, revealing a vast, gloomy space before him, filled with unfriendly gazes. A multitude of demon generals, each with fierce, horned faces, were staring intently at him. An entire crowd of formidable figures gathered, their eyes as sharp as daggers, clearly waiting for a good show. The protagonist began to sweat profusely. His earlier boasting seemed to have been a bit over the top. The princess paid no mind, coldly commanded, "Let's go," then strode forward. All three entered the Great Hall together, the protagonist walking behind the princess, and the attendant close by her side. Whispers arose from the crowd. "That's Shura the death god." Another whispered, "He looks ordinary. Is he really dangerous?" While one ambitious fellow declared, "If I defeat him, the princess will be mine." Pressure converged from all four sides, making the protagonist sweat and visibly pale. Suddenly, a blonde demon general, without a word, shot forward like a bolt of lightning. He unleashed a devastating punch, aimed directly at the stunned protagonist's face. Clang! The attendant had appeared out of nowhere, raising her hand to block the blonde man's punch, her eyes sharp. The female attendant screamed as she was flung onto the floor, while the blonde general was also sent flying backward by an immense force. It turned out the princess had intervened, her face as cold as ice, brandishing a blazing red energy whip. Before the blonde general could even comprehend what was happening, he was struck by a devastating whiplash. The princess showed no mercy, continuing to swing her whip at terrifying speed, creating deadly red streaks of light. Whoosh! The whip struck the blonde general's chest directly, the force so immense that blood splattered. The blonde general dragged his body to the ground, glaring furiously at the princess. He growled, calling out his own name. "It's Moran, and you hit me? What are you trying to do?" The princess responded nonchalantly, while Moran quickly covered up, saying he was just warming up to ease his back. A pink-haired female general named Mommy sat on a throne, her tone full of sarcasm. "Just got married and already so busy, huh?" Another male general, Mari, also joined in with a pointed question. "Rumor has it Shura went missing. Has he been found?" Mari continued to taunt, wondering what on earth was happening on such an important day when the groom had vanished. Mommy sneered, praising the princess's generosity, then declared that if it were her, she would have torn the missing fiancé to shreds long ago. Moran added fuel to the fire, speculating whether Shura had abandoned his fiancé to seek out a lover. The princess finally spoke, her eyes sharp. "The news of Shura's disappearance has leaked. Whoever killed him, step forward." She asserted that they were all just probing, because there was no concrete evidence that Shura had been eliminated. The generals below clamored, seizing the opportunity. "Princess, leave that scoundrel and marry me instead." Moran seized the moment, pointing directly at the protagonist. "Shura, I challenge you to a duel. Whoever wins gets the princess." The entire group of demon generals joined in like a pack of vultures, roaring, "Duel! Duel!" The female attendant whispered to the princess, realizing that this entire lot was deliberately provoking Shura to force him into action. The attendant warned, "Princess, something is wrong." And the princess also sensed the abnormality in the air. With the entire group of demon generals taunting him, our protagonist froze, sweat pouring down like rain. An overwhelming, invisible aura emanated, distorting the space around the blonde General Moran. The protagonist's heart began to pound, and he wondered, "Why is my heart beating so fiercely?" His entire body trembled violently, a strange sensation invading his mind. This is... He gritted his teeth, realizing this damned feeling was fear. The protagonist recalled countless life or death battles from the past, questioning himself. "I've faced death countless times, never knowing fear. Why am I trembling now?" The feeling at this moment was exactly like a lost lamb wandering into a pack of hungry wolves. A pack of colossal wolves with blood-red eyes appeared in his mind, the sensation of being hunted even more terrifying than death itself. In the dark space, the protagonist could only stand still, enduring the terrifying mental pressure. The demon princess narrowed her eyes, immediately realizing someone was playing a trick, thinking, if it were the real Shura, this meager demonic power would be nothing. But his soul is human. She assessed the situation. At this rate, he'll be crushed. The princess was in a difficult position. She couldn't intervene because doing so would expose her secret, proving this Shura was a fake. The protagonist clutched his chest, feeling extreme difficulty breathing under Moran's invisible pressure. He felt as if his heart was being crushed by an invisible hand, about to explode. Moran approached, growling at the protagonist, who was still looking down. "Hey, say something." Seeing his opponent remain silent, Moran began to rage, his killing intent flaring intensely. He roared, "Are you looking down on me?" and swung a blazing fist, charging forward. Thwack! A thunderous punch landed squarely on the protagonist's back. The protagonist was sent flying like a rag doll, tumbling several times across the floor, to the astonishment of the demon princess. The two demon generals, Mari and Mommy, watching, were speechless at Moran's swift action. The entire group of demon generals gaped, unable to believe the sight before their eyes. The demon princess coldly looked at the half-demon lying sprawled, declaring bluntly, "If this matter isn't resolved, I will annul the engagement right here." Lying flat on the floor, the half-demon's eyes flashed with a calculating glint. Thump! He braced his hands and slowly began to stand up. The protagonist stood upright, feeling his body could move again and he could breathe normally, thinking, My body can move again. I can breathe. Maran sneered, boasting loudly. Ha ha. Shura is just a coward who can't even defeat a woman, then turned to mock the princess taste in husbands. The half-demon smirked defiantly. I knew something was wrong. And now I know it's your mouth. Maran's face darkened, killing intent rising. What did you say? The protagonist maintained his arrogant smile, calling out directly. Hey! Infuriated by the taunt, Maran roared. How dare you insult my woman? Then charged, headbutting his opponent directly. Thwack! Contrary to expectations, it was Maran who took the hit, his face contorting as if he had just slammed his head into a steel wall. The demon princess and her attendant standing nearby were speechless, simultaneously thinking, what a true coward. Female General Mami commented in exasperation. Good thing I'm not a man. Watching this makes me feel ashamed for him. Meanwhile, male General Mari showed interest. Death god Shura is indeed terrifying. Maran lay sprawled on the floor, growling in helplessness, while the protagonist casually brushed his hands. The other demon general's eyes widened in shock, one muttering, truly impressive. One blow to take down General Maran. Good thing I didn't cause trouble. Having lost all face, Maran erupted with killing intent, roaring furiously, You bastard, I'll kill you. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure enveloped the entire Great Hall. Maran froze, sweat pouring down like rain. The Demon King has arrived. A colossal orb of dark energy gathered in the air, swirling with destructive power. Boom! The energy orb struck Maran's position directly, engulfing him in a horrifying explosion right before everyone's eyes. A giant dark energy orb descended, intimidating the boisterous General Maran. The Demon King has arrived. A black-haired, red-horned female general named Maya coldly observed everything. The gray-haired General Mari also glanced, his face full of calculation. The pink-haired General Mami smirked mockingly, clearly amused by the spectacle. All three generals, Maya, Mari, and Mami, simultaneously knelt before the terrifying pressure of the Demon King. The Demon Clan princess also bowed her head, and the entire Great Hall fell into absolute silence as the other generals also prostrated themselves. General Maya shot a sidelong glance at Maran, her voice warning, Maran, are you intending to disrespect the Demon King? Maran ground his teeth loudly, his face flushed with humiliation, but dared not utter a single word. The blonde man was forced to kneel on one knee on the floor, accepting being suppressed on the spot. The protagonist thought to himself about the information in the military files. The leader of the Demon Clan, the only SSSS rank monster, is none other than the Demon King. Amidst the stream of vibrant purple demonic energy, what appeared was not the Demon King, but a gigantic capybara. The protagonist's jaw dropped, his eyes wide in disbelief at the sight before him. A capybara? He quickly regained his composure, realizing it was Maya's voice transmitted through his mind. Don't be surprised. The protagonist looked around, telling himself, it seems only I can hear it. Maya explained telepathically to the protagonist. Don't move, we are communicating through our minds. Maya revealed a shocking secret. The Demon King has grown old and entrusted his duties to us, the four great demon generals. He rarely shows himself and always communicates through an intermediary. The protagonist was instructed. Shura himself has never met the Demon King. So for now, just stay silent and play the part. The capybara, the Demon King's intermediary, announced. Today, there will be an important discussion. The Four Clans Conference is about to take place, and this time, we will choose a new representative. General Maya looked straight ahead, her gaze sharp. The political game had officially begun. The black-haired General Mari cast a cold, calculating glance. The blonde General Maran smirked mockingly, the scar above his eye making him look even more arrogant. The pink-haired General Mami cast a seductive glance, clearly anticipating drama. The protagonist wondered in his mind. What in the world is the Four Clans Conference? Maya continued to explain telepathically. Every 5 years, the Demon Clan, Winged Clan, Beast Clan, and Armored Clan gather. This is a summit to divide territories, sign peace treaties, and settle important matters. The most influential figures from each clan all participate. And previously, the Demon King himself was present. Maya concluded the main point. In other words, whoever is chosen as the representative here has the potential to ascend the Demon King's throne. The muscular Maran immediately spoke up, flexing his muscles. Among the four great demon generals, I have the most soldiers and the greatest power, so I am the most promising candidate. Although everyone had to admit Maran's power was unrivaled among the generals, he was merely a brutish musclehead. Mari coldly taunted. What a pity, but this matter requires a brain, something you lack. Mara's power might not equal Maran's, but he was the most cunning and sharp-witted strategist. Maya's female attendant spoke up to nominate. The noblest person must attend the Four Clans Conference. Princess Maya should participate. Maran scoffed contemptuously, uttering disparaging remarks towards Maya. If you have time, go learn some skills to please a husband, lest he run away. This is no place for women. As soon as he finished speaking, a stream of purple energy condensed into the form of a venomous snake in Maran's hand. The purple snake coiled around his arm, ready to strike. Maran took a stance, preparing to unleash a display of power. Whoosh! He swung the snake whip towards Maya and Shura. General Mami gently caught the snake's head, smiling dangerously. If you disrespect women, a woman will send you on your way. General Mami was described as a born cruel individual, who specialized in using her beauty to manipulate and win over countless subordinates. Maran growled, his eyes blazing, asking Mommy if she wanted to fight him to the death. Mommy sneered, sarcastically remarking that she was only worried about his injuries, fearing he might overexert himself and lose his manhood. Stung by the taunt, Maran's blood boiled with rage, his veins bulging. Mari coldly interjected, declaring that in the demon clan, there was no distinction between male and female. Power was everything. He smirked meaningfully, asserting he would follow whoever was strongest here, adding fuel to the fire. The lesser demon generals, upon hearing this, their eyes lit up, realizing this was an opportunity to turn the tables and contend for positions. Provoked, several aggressive generals rushed forward to challenge Maran, demanding a spot in the fight. Maran said nothing, unleashing a kick that sent the first one who dared approach flying. Wham! He swung his arm, clearing out the remaining rabble in an instant. The skill gap was too vast. The protagonist observed from the sidelines, realizing Mari was indeed an old fox, who had skillfully turned Maran into everyone's target. Mari secretly calculated, letting Maran and Mommy tear each other apart until they were weakened. Then he would step in and take them both out. The protagonist sighed in exasperation, thinking the demon clan was too simple-minded, only knowing internal strife and self-destruction, while the greater cause required unified strength. Amidst the chaos, Mommy drew a razor-sharp dagger, preparing to join the fray. Her purple eyes gleamed with killing intent, locking onto Maran as her target. Mommy shot forward like an arrow, swinging her dagger straight at the blonde general's throat. Just then, Maya descended from above like a meteor, shouting loudly, "Wait!" Her weapon, a sharp short sword, flashed in the fiery red glow of demonic energy. Clang! Maya used her sword to block Mommy's attack, and the two female generals faced each other at close quarters. Mommy unleashed a dangerous strike, her purple snake-like weapon lunging forward with a surge of dark demonic energy. Maya remained unfazed, swinging her weapon to create a red and black energy vortex to meet the attack. Clang! The two whip-like weapons coiled tightly around each other, purple and black demonic energies clashing fiercely. Both female generals strained with all their might, creating a stalemate in the grand hall where neither would yield. Mommy began her psychological game. "Princess, I'm protecting you. Why are you doing this?" She continued in a fawning tone, lamenting that Maya siding with the men was truly regrettable. Maya coldly retorted, declaring she sided with no one, and deeming their current mutual slaughter pathetic. From a distance, the protagonist smirked, acknowledging that this princess also knew how to use her head. He mused, but the other demons were just a bunch of muscle-brained fools, only concerned with their own interests. The protagonist concluded that reasoning with them would be a waste of words. They would never listen. As expected, Maran had lost all patience. He roared and swung his blazing greatsword. The blonde-haired man leaped into the air, his sword erupting with fire to form a gigantic fire dragon, charging directly at Maya. The protagonist saw the situation was dire and quickly shouted, "Watch out!" Maya startled and turned, her eyes flashing with surprise at the sudden attack. Whoosh! A gigantic fiery slash swept across the battlefield, targeting both female generals. Mommy shrieked as the extremely powerful energy blast sent her flying like a toy. Maya was also pushed back, forced to brace herself against the overwhelming power of the attack. The brown-haired attendant behind her cried out anxiously, "Princess!" Mommy scrambled to her feet, and despite being battered, she defiantly declared, "I'm fine." Mari reappeared just in time, his voice full of sarcasm. "Maran, you've gone too far. How dare you touch Mommy's precious snake?" Mommy hugged her snake pet, her face grim as she warned Maran, "If you hurt it, don't blame me for being cruel." She unleashed a burst of pink demonic energy, glaring fiercely at the muscular man. Maran sneered, taunting Mommy directly. "It's just because you're weak. Don't blame others, you damn woman." His eyes flashed with contempt, treating his opponent as less than dirt. He puffed out his chest, declaring his dominance. "None of you here are truly strong. Anyone who wants to die, step forward." The other demon generals, seeing Mommy and Maya swept aside, began to falter, discussing an escape plan. One demon general whispered to his comrades, "We should retreat." Maran arrogantly looked at the capybara, reporting his achievement to the Demon King. "See, Your Majesty? No one dares to utter a word." The capybara, the Demon King's envoy, floated in a stream of demonic energy, responding coldly. "Is that so?" Maya bit her lip, her face darkening from being humiliated before the entire army. Mari also fell silent, his usual playful demeanor gone. The capybara envoy continued to declare, "If that is the case, Maran should participate in the Four Clans conference." In the midst of the tension, a voice rang out, cutting through. "Wait!" The brown-haired man in Shura's body stepped out, his eyes full of confidence, shattering the silence. Maya and her attendant spun around, completely shocked by the stranger's appearance. Maran was equally surprised, asking directly, "Shura?" Mari smirked, his voice full of provocation. "Oh, so you're also interested in that conference?" The brown-haired man stepped forward, causing Maya to take a step back, while Mari commented, "The princess man isn't just here to play around." Mari continued to analyze with a profound look. He also carries ambition. The brown-haired attendant whispered to her mistress, her voice full of doubt. "How foolish. What is he thinking? He can't possibly defeat Maran." The brown-haired man in Shura's body smirked confidently, asserting firmly, "It's fine, I know what I need to do." Maran growled, recalling an old debt. "All right, I haven't settled my score with you yet. Without further words, Maran swung his sword and lunged, shouting, "Take this," he roared, his objective clear. "I'll kill you and make the princess mine." But the brown-haired man merely raised a hand to block the attack, calmly stating, "I'm not fighting you." Maran froze, veins bulging on his forehead, and roared, "What do you mean by that?" The brown-haired man then leaned close to Maran's ear, whispering something extremely secret. Maran froze, his eyes wide, his face completely shocked after hearing it. The brown-haired man stepped back, crossing his arms and watching with a meaningful expression, ignoring his opponent who was still processing. Maran gnashed his teeth, sweat pouring down, clearly in an intense internal struggle. Suddenly, Maran turned to the capybara, reporting to the Demon King. "Your Majesty, I believe Mommy and Shura were right. I was too hasty," he boldly declared. "Let Maya participate in the Four Clans conference." Maran continued to boast, feigning nobility. "I believe it is perfectly acceptable for the Demon King's daughter to attend on my behalf." The other demon generals watching couldn't help but be astonished by this complete turnaround. Mari narrowed his eyes, directly questioning. "Maran, what trick are you playing?" Maran replied condescendingly. "Didn't you hear clearly? My meaning is exactly as I stated." He continued to lecture Mari. "You only focus on what's in front of you and fail to see the bigger picture. Your participation in the tournament would be meaningless." The minions behind them began to whisper, suggesting that with the current injuries, the demon clan would only become a laughingstock for the other three clans, and the instigator was none other than Maran. Struck where it hurt, Maran furiously roared, "Shut up!" The capybara, the Demon King's envoy, floated in the air and concluded, "Maran has relinquished his right and nominated Mommy. Does anyone object?" Maran snarled, his fiery red eyes sweeping over the crowd. "Whoever opposes me, I will consider an enemy." Mari stood behind the protagonist, speechless at Maran's incredibly swift change of heart. The protagonist merely smirked, a triumphant expression on his face as if everything was within his grasp. Mari shrugged, looking helpless. "If Maran has said so, I have no objections." The other minor generals, seeing the matter was settled, quickly clamored in agreement to let the matter pass. The capybara proxy emitted a pink aura, officially declaring, "Therefore, in the upcoming Four Clans tournament, Maya will represent the Demon Clan." The Demon King's messenger turned to assign Maya her task. "Maya, do not disappoint everyone. Go forth and secure benefits for the Demon Clan." Maya's brown-haired attendant could not hide her joy when her mistress was given the opportunity. Maya, princess of the Demon Clan, responded decisively, "Yes." After the drama concluded, the protagonist stood alone in the courtyard. The shadow of a dragon swept past, obscuring the sunlight. Maran, riding his red dragon, shot the protagonist a resentful glare, then flew off in a huff. The protagonist merely stood there, silently watching the defeated foe make his escape. The brown-haired attendant approached, her eyes full of scrutiny. "What did you do just now?" The protagonist feigned innocence, waving his hand casually. "You saw? I didn't do anything. Don't be ridiculous." Maran isn't the type to listen to reason. It's very difficult to change his mind. The attendant was not easily fooled, crossing her arms, pressing for an answer. "Answer me." Maya also looked at the protagonist with eyes full of interest, curious about the trick he had used. The protagonist seemed a bit flustered by the attention of the two beautiful women, his face slightly flushed. He scratched his head and began to explain reluctantly. "Actually, I didn't do anything major." It turned out, the protagonist had whispered into Maran's ear, grasping his fatal weakness. "It's just that, if the matter of you selling the Beast Clan's young to the Winged Clan for poison resistance experiments were to be exposed." In the flashback, Maran's face turned ashen. Sweat poured down him like rain as his darkest secret was exposed. "Do you think you'd return alive?" The brown-haired attendant repeated the shocking information. Maran sold the Beast Clan's young. She turned to ask Maya, asserting that this was why the princess gave the protagonist a spot, right? Maya looked surprised, as even she had never heard of this incident, and questioned the protagonist about where he got the information. The protagonist pointed to his head, boasting confidently, "I told you, my brain is the strongest." He began to explain. The information came from the military's secret archives, a place only top brass could access. In his memory, when he was a low-ranking soldier running errands for Khanda, he had stumbled upon this document, and with his prodigious memory, he never forgot it. The document clearly detailed Maran's crimes, not only selling the young, but also blaming the human army to ignite a war. As a result, a bloody war erupted between the Beast Clan and humans to reclaim the young, with countless casualties. The attendant remained skeptical, asking if he had prepared beforehand to remember it so easily. The protagonist crossed his arms, and with a smug look, directly asked the two beautiful women, "Well, I'm not as useless as you thought, am I?" Maya narrowed her eyes, finally had to admit, "Finally, you're useful." The protagonist smirked, declaring that his true worth was far from fully revealed, and told her to just wait and see. Maya fell silent, her eyes full of contemplation as she re-evaluated the man before her. She smiled meaningfully, accepting the challenge. "I understand. In that case, I look forward to it." A voice rang out from behind, praising Shura for easily convincing Maran. Everyone turned around. Maya called out the newcomer's name. Mari. The protagonist revealed his plan, considering Maran nothing more than a brainless fool, and declared he would incite him to wage war against the other demon lords, allowing himself to reap the benefits. Maya looked at the protagonist with sharp eyes, acknowledging his caliber. You truly are the real deal. Mari burst out laughing, thinking the protagonist's plan was just a joke. But then he became serious again, realizing that the protagonist's aura today was very different from usual. The main character, who was boasting, suddenly paused. Mari had been standing there for some time. Oh? What is this aura? Mari smirked, pointing at the protagonist. It's the smell of fear, exactly like the smell of humans when they panic. Maya and her attendant were both stunned by Mari's discovery. The main character maintained a cold expression, but inwardly, a storm was brewing. Mari stepped closer, pressing his face close to the protagonist's, and asked mockingly, "Why does the smell of human fear emanate from a demon? How strange." The main character broke out in a cold sweat, swallowing with difficulty under the opponent's psychological attack. The attendant stepped forward to shield the protagonist, snarling, "Mari, you're being too rude." Mari shrugged, feigning innocence. "Why the fuss? I just thought my nose was stuffy." Maya quickly interjected. "Shura has slaughtered countless humans. The smell of their blood and fear clinging to his clothes is only natural." Mari nodded slowly, appearing to accept the explanation. "I see, that makes sense." He covered his mouth, smiling sinisterly. It seems the princess has not only found a good husband, but also a formidable ally. Maris' smile was full of hidden meaning. Clearly, he didn't fully believe this act. Mari turned and walked away, leaving behind a tense atmosphere. Maya turned to ask her attendant. She explained, "Mari is a master of psychological manipulation. He revels in the fear and despair of his prey before they die." The attendant concluded, "He definitely used his demonic energy to test your limits. Now he's suspicious. What's your plan?" The main character recalled the feeling of being mentally suppressed, a terrifying fear. That feeling was as if all the bones in his body were being crushed into powder. He admitted to the attendant, "This time, I was lucky to have you. Otherwise, next time I definitely wouldn't be able to hold out." Maya looked directly at the protagonist, warning, "After today, Maran will try to deal with you, and Mari will begin to probe." Maya laid down her final demand. "Ao and I cannot constantly be by your side. Grow stronger on your own, so that everyone must acknowledge you as Shura." Ao bluntly criticized the protagonist in front of the princess. "Your Highness, he is too weak. He can't even defeat petty demons, let alone Maran or Mari." Criticized, the protagonist bitterly retorted, pointing directly at Ao. "Who's weak? You're the weak one." Maya looked at the protagonist meaningfully, considering the human soul within Shura's body could be a useful trump card. Maya led the way to a majestic cliff, where a mysterious structure was built within. The three stood before a gigantic wooden gate, resembling the entrance to an ancient fortress. The protagonist looked around in bewilderment, not understanding where he was. Maya replied coldly and concisely, "This is Shura's armory." She explained that Shura had a morbid habit of collecting enemy weapons as trophies, so many that he had to build a separate warehouse. The gate slowly opened, and a blinding light shone outwards from within. A colossal hall appeared, filled with various weapons displayed along both walls. Rows of gleaming swords and long spears hung on racks, each item exuding sharpness. Countless greatswords and other unusual weapons were also present, proving Shura's collection was extremely diverse. The protagonist was overwhelmed, thinking to himself, "Truly the god of slaughter. Who knows how many lives Shura sent to the afterlife to acquire this arsenal." The collection also included spiked shields of the Gao tribe, maces of the beast race, and even human firearms. The protagonist's gaze stopped when he saw a pair of fangs displayed as a trophy. He muttered, thinking Shura truly had issues for bringing back even the fangs of the winged race as souvenirs. Maya interrupted, asserting that Shura's unparalleled power was not simply because he was strong. She pointed towards the center of the hall. "That is the weapon he used." A demonic sword was hovering over a stone pedestal, emitting a blood-red aura of evil energy. The sword had an intimidating design, a glossy black blade with purple veins, and a surging killing intent, just waiting to be unleashed. Maya coldly introduced Shura's prized possession, the demonic sword Deverolf. The brown-haired young man glanced over, thinking to himself that it looked ordinary, nothing special. Maya began to recount the sword's bloody past, stating that when it first appeared, an unprecedented war of conquest erupted throughout the demon realm. Powerful figures like Maran, Mari, and Mami also rushed to seize it, only to be beaten black and blue. The sword's power was so overwhelming that even the Demon King himself could not control it. Finally, Maya revealed that the war only ended when the legendary Shura stepped in to quell the chaos. Ao added, emphasizing that countless demons had perished before they could even touch the sword, astonishing the brown-haired young man. Maya explained the weapon's mechanism. Deverolf is not an inanimate object. It is a living demon, specializing in sucking the life force from enemies to convert into power for its master. She concluded with a stark declaration. The more it kills, the stronger it becomes a true snowballing item. The brown-haired young man's eyes lit up, realizing that by absorbing enough demonic energy, he could become as strong as Shura. But then he curled his lips ambitiously, declaring firmly, "No, I will surpass even Shura." At the same time, Ao stood with her arms crossed, pouting in disdain. He can't even defeat the lowest-level demonic beasts. Does he even have any actual combat experience? And just as she said, the brown-haired young man was getting thoroughly beaten by a swarm of small blue monsters. He took a direct hit to the face, looking quite pathetic. The young man coughed violently, clearly overwhelmed by the low-level monsters. He bitterly cursed, realizing how weak and useless he looked. A small monster lunged forward, startling the brown-haired young man. He roared in frustration, deciding he had to use a weapon. The brown-haired young man strained with all his might, but the demonic sword, Deverolf, was heavy as a mountain. He could only drag its tip across the ground with difficulty. Straining with all his might, the brown-haired young man still couldn't lift the demonic sword Deverolf. He bitterly cursed, helpless against the weapon's weight and his own weakness. A low-level slime monster lunged forward, opening its wide maw, intending to bite directly into his face. Scared out of his wits, he abandoned his sword and ran for his life, screaming, "Don't eat me." Ao stood beside Maya, arms crossed and pouting. I knew he was weak, but I didn't expect him to be this useless. He can't even wield a weapon, yet he claims to surpass Shura. Truly, big-mouthed humans, Maya explained. This body belongs to Shura, but he doesn't possess Shura's power. That's why Deverolf doesn't acknowledge him as its master. Nevertheless, the Demon Clan princess narrowed her eyes in thought. But is that truly all there is to it? In Maya's mind, a sudden image flashed of a warrior exploding with blue energy, making her wonder, could I have been mistaken? The slime monster gave no one time to think. It shot forward like a bullet. The brown-haired young man reacted extremely quickly, dodging the direct attack with a swift movement. Just as he let out a sigh of relief, the monster turned back, using its elastic body to deliver a powerful whip-like strike. He couldn't dodge in time, only managing to raise his arm to block as the monster grazed past him. The slime monster turned back with sharp fangs and bloodshot eyes filled with killing intent. Slash. Its fangs grazed the brown-haired young man's chest, leaving a tear in his shirt and a streak of blood. As he clutched his chest and recoiled, he froze in place upon seeing an entire swarm of slime monsters slowly advancing. Maya narrowed her eyes, clearly having lost patience with this rookie's pathetic display. Decisively, the Demon Clan princess leapt into the air, resolving to clear the battlefield herself. Whoosh! The whip in Maya's hand lashed out in a perfect arc, sweeping directly into the swarm of monsters. The low-level slime monsters perished in droves under a single strike from the princess, without a single chance to resist. The remaining slimes cowered in fear before the demonic duo. Sprawled on the ground, the brown-haired man panted as he watched the Demon Clan princess, who had just cleared the battlefield. The demon princess coldly declared, "That's enough for today." The brown-haired man struggled to his feet, bitterly protesting. "No, it's not over yet." He tried to save face, his words still defiant. "That was just carelessness on my part. Next time, I'll definitely succeed." Maya glanced at him, reluctantly agreeing. "All right then," she warned him bluntly. "If anyone sees the bite marks of a low-level demonic beast on Shura's body, there will be big trouble." The brown-haired man looked at the tear in his shirt, silenced by the warning. He began blaming the weapon. "This sword is too heavy, incredibly difficult to wield. Is there any way to make it lighter?" Maya brutally explained the rules. A demonic sword like Deverolf only acknowledges those who can make it stronger. If it deems you worthless, it naturally won't let you use it. Painful memories flooded back. The curses of useless trash. The burden on the battlefield echoed in his mind. The scene shifts. An officer was yelling at the new recruits. "What are you standing around for? Quickly clear away the monster corpses. Don't leave any behind. We need them for research." A young soldier trembled with fear. "But the building is about to collapse. It's too dangerous to go in and clear it now." Another wondered, "If it's cleanup, why not let robots do it?" "Why us?" The officer snarled, exposing the harsh truth. "Do you even know how much robot maintenance costs? It's far more expensive than your lives." He sneered contemptuously. "To the military, your value is only that much. Don't think we're feeding you for free, and then complain about danger." Back in reality, the brown-haired man asked the demon princess in a low voice, "Do you also think I'm worthless?" Maya silently looked him straight in the eyes. She unexpectedly changed her attitude, her tone softening. "You must be tired today. Go rest." Maya showed goodwill. "Even if you can't use Deverolf, don't worry. I'll have Ao protect you." The brown-haired man yelled indignantly. "Don't mess with me. I don't need a woman to protect me." With that, he charged headfirst into the swarm of blue slime monsters, like a madman. Maya was stunned, not understanding what was happening. What in the world is he trying to do? He continued to charge, unarmed, ready to fight the monsters to the death. He clenched his fists, yelling a challenge. "Try biting me with your big mouths. Bring it on." Maya and Ao watched from afar. The princess uttered a sarcastic remark. "Without Deverolf, you don't stand a chance." Humans truly are childish and pleasure-seeking. The blue slime monsters began to counterattack, launching themselves like rubber bullets. The brown-haired man was hit directly in the side by one, losing his balance. Immediately, the entire swarm of monsters swarmed him like ants on prey, gnawing relentlessly. Maya yelled, "Quickly shake them off. You'll be devoured without a single bone left." But it was too late. His body was almost completely covered by the slime monsters. Seeing the situation was tense, Maya gripped the whip in her hand, preparing to intervene. Ao stood beside her, her eyes filled with disdain. Is he insane? He looks like he's offering himself up to be eaten, while being gnawed upon. The brown-haired man's gaze suddenly turned towards the demonic sword, stuck in the ground. Despite the monsters clinging all over him, he struggled up and lunged towards the sword. The demonic sword Deverolf stood tall, emitting a chilling dark aura. A surge of blue energy erupted as he poured all his speed, rushing towards his final target. Maya shielded her eyes, annoyed by the blinding energy surge that had just erupted. The brown-haired man gripped the demonic sword tightly. A swirling blue demonic aura enveloped his body. His demeanor completely transformed. Ao was stunned, realizing his insane plan. He used his own body as bait to let the monsters feed Deverolf. The attendant continued with disdain. What a foolish suicidal act. While Maya merely observed in silence. The brown-haired man smirked, feeling the power flowing into his body. The sword feels lighter now. Could it be that it has acknowledged me? Maya approached, warning. That action was too dangerous. You almost became a sacrifice. He scoffed, replying confidently. But it worked, didn't it? The brown-haired man declared his life philosophy. The greater the risk, the bigger the reward. If I don't dare to bet my life, how can I become the strongest in the demon clan? The domineering declaration made Maya blush slightly, momentarily flustered. Regaining her cold composure, Maya poured cold water on his enthusiasm. Don't get ahead of yourself. Deverolf won't be satisfied with just those low-level demonic beasts. The power you gained is merely a fragment. The princess assigned a new task. In 10 days, Moran will surely make a move. From now on, you will have to face even stronger monsters. The brown-haired man raised the demonic sword, burning with fighting spirit. Bring it on. This sword is starving. Maya turned to call her attendant. Ow. Ao smiled meaningfully, replying, Yes. The brown-haired man swung his sword. A powerful blue energy slash shot forth. Suddenly, he froze, sensing something unusual. Lightning suddenly tore across the sky, and the brown-haired man snapped his head up, his face changing color. Before the three of them was a colossal, prison-like structure, and within its dense darkness, countless pairs of blood-red eyes stared out. Ao smirked, announcing, Your next opponents are the Gale Wolves, causing the brown-haired man to turn pale, screaming in alarm. There are too many. The brown-haired man swung his sword, charging in to swiftly deal with a Gale Wolf. With a fiery slash, the monster was instantly obliterated, and the brown-haired man roared with delight. So this is what leveling up feels like. It's incredibly exhilarating. Facing the last wolf, the brown-haired man clicked his tongue in disdain. He smirked, declaring confidently, Just take care of this last one, and I'm done. To his surprise, the wolf turned tail and ran, making the brown-haired man furiously chase after it, yelling, Stop! The prey had vanished into the dense forest. The brown-haired man stopped, searching bewilderedly. Where did it go? Suddenly, a strange sound caught his attention. He smirked triumphantly. Found it. But immediately froze as he saw the wolf being torn apart by a giant red demon beast. The brown-haired man broke out in a cold sweat, realizing this was a high-level demon beast. He told himself that with his current strength, it would be difficult to defeat this one. But if he could take it down, he would absorb an immense amount of power. The brown-haired man hesitated, his hand gripping his sword hilt tightly. What should I do now? Should I give it a try? Another rustling sound came from the nearby bushes. The brown-haired man immediately spun around, his sharp gaze questioning. Who's there? From within the thicket, a pink-haired demoness with a sizzling figure stepped out. The brown-haired man was stunned, a flash of realization striking him as he recognized the newcomer. Mommy. Both stood facing each other on the forest path. Mommy narrowed her eyes, calling out the name of this body's former owner in surprise. Shura? The brown-haired man frowned in confusion. Why is this demoness here? Is she following us? The brown-haired man began to calculate, sweating profusely. Could this woman have overheard our entire conversation? He glanced at Mommy, realizing her condition wasn't much better. It seems she's also quite heavily injured. A glint flashed in the brown-haired man's eyes. A devious plan began to form in his mind. He silently watched the red dragon tearing apart its prey, deciding to remain still and observe. The brown-haired man smirked cunningly, thinking to himself, if I don't intervene, they'll just tear each other apart. He decided to sit back and enjoy the show, waiting for the opportune moment to swoop in and finish off both of them. Meanwhile, Mommy was also confident in her beauty. No man has ever escaped my charm. Let him lure the demon beast, and I'll just slip away. She deliberately snapped a dry branch under her foot, intentionally creating a sound. Snap. The red dragon was immediately drawn by the sound. It whipped its head around with bloodthirsty eyes. Both the brown-haired man and Mommy jumped in surprise. Their plans had been discovered by the monster. The red dragon roared, then shot straight towards Mommy like an arrow. Mommy's face went pale, reaching out desperately for help. Shura, save me. The brown-haired man didn't hesitate, turning his head and running for his life, not forgetting to point at Mommy and shout loudly, If you want to eat that woman over there. Just as Mommy was still stunned by the betrayal, a purple snake-like whip shot out from her hand. The whip wrapped tightly around the brown-haired man, who was in the midst of fleeing, pulling him back. Mommy soared forward, swinging directly onto the brown-haired man's back, making it impossible for him to continue running. She hugged him tightly from behind, pressing herself close to him. Mommy leaned into his ear, taunting, Shouldn't you act like a hero and help me? Running away like that is truly pathetic. Are you even a man? The brown-haired man's face flushed crimson as he tried to pry her hands off, stammering, Get away from me. My wife hates you. If she sees this, she'll be furious. Mommy stuck out her tongue playfully, taunting the brown-haired man. The one known as the god of death is controlled by his wife. If the whole world knew about this, they'd surely laugh in your face. The brown-haired man carried Mommy on his back, running headlong into the forest for his life, and yelled, Leave me alone. Suddenly, a giant dragon-like demon beast appeared, its mouth glowing with a fireball. The red dragon let out an earth-shattering roar and spewed forth an extremely powerful stream of fire. The stream of fire shot straight towards the two fleeing figures. Mommy frantically realized it was a fire elemental demon beast. The brown-haired man couldn't dodge in time, taking the full blast of fire on his back to shield Mommy. He screamed in pain as the flames scorched him. Both were thrown into the air by the attack's destructive force. The brown-haired man's back was scorched. He groaned as he bore the full brunt of the damage. He cursed as he was sent flying, with Mommy still clinging tightly to him. The massive stream of fire engulfed both of them, creating a huge explosion in the forest. After the explosion, Mommy was flung away, tumbling onto the ground. Mommy propped herself up, groaning and complaining of pain. The brown-haired man also lay face down on the ground, exhausted and steaming profusely. His eyes gleamed with a cold light, clearly indicating extreme annoyance. He stood up, pointing directly at Mommy's face and yelling, "You coward! How dare you use me as a shield?" The brown-haired man broke into a sweat, his face turning pale as he realized he had spoken out of turn. Mommy looked back with sharp eyes, retorting, "Didn't you also intend to use me as bait to escape? We're both the same." The brown-haired man tried to push her away and yelled, "Let go! Don't cling to me!" But Mommy hugged him tighter, replying, "Never." Mommy still clung tightly to the brown-haired man, determined not to let go. The brown-haired man gritted his teeth, cursing bitterly. Damn it. Helplessly, he resigned himself to carrying Mommy on his shoulder and running for his life. The two were just a small dot, dashing swiftly through the forest. The brown-haired man was still carrying the pink-haired burden on his shoulder, running for dear life. Mommy rested her head on his shoulder, seemingly enjoying the situation. Both stopped before a bottomless abyss, from which thick purple, poisonous mist billowed. The brown-haired man carried Mommy, his face darkening as he realized this was a dead end. A gigantic red drake appeared, growling and blocking their path. This is a formidable opponent. Facing the monster, the brown-haired man maintained an impassive face, calculating his every move. He thought to himself, even the demon clan couldn't withstand this beast's venom. But if he fought directly, Mommy would discover his true identity. Mommy cast a meaningful glance, as if she had planned everything. This was a trap, to force him to reveal his hand. "Damn it, there's no other way," the brown-haired man yelled, his face filled with determination. The red drake roared and charged straight towards the two of them, making the ground tremble. The brown-haired man suddenly whispered into Mommy's bewildered ear. "What are you trying to do?" Mommy shrieked in panic as he rushed towards the abyss. "Are you insane? It's a deep chasm down there. Don't drag me with you." He smirked, retorting sharply. "You were clinging to me just a moment ago. Now you want to run? Not a chance." With that said, he threw Mommy with all his might towards the red drake, which was waiting with its maw open. While the monster was distracted, the brown-haired man decisively jumped into the abyss, mercilessly leaving Mommy as bait. The brown-haired man and Mommy plunged headfirst into the abyss like two bullets. It turned out that as he jumped, he had managed to grab Mommy, dragging her down with him. Both of them splashed into a pool of purple liquid, and the red drake melted in an instant, the moment it touched the surface. The high-level demon beast completely evaporated, leaving only its bleached white skeleton sinking to the bottom. The brown-haired man was also deeply shocked, unable to believe that such a large monster could be dissolved in an instant by this potent poison. But then he felt a strange, cold sensation clinging to him. It turned out Mommy was using him as a living buoy, clinging tightly to him to avoid sinking. The female general's face flushed red as she shyly clung to him, leaving the brown-haired man speechless. "Hey, wait a minute." Mommy mumbled an admission that this was the first time she had ever felt so embarrassed in front of a man. She looked up, her gaze complex, and called out Shura's name. Immediately after, the purple snake from Mommy's weapon suddenly lunged out, biting deeply into his thigh with a deadly command. "Die!" The brown-haired man cried out in pain. Mommy let out a roar and delivered a decisive blow. The force of the attack sent the brown-haired man sprawling onto the ground. He yelled furiously, "You wretch! What the hell are you doing to your savior?" Mommy smirked contemptuously, retorting sarcastically, "The demon clan has no concept of gratitude, do they?" The brown-haired man was unfazed, coldly pointing out, "You had a chance to counterattack just now, but you yourself missed it." Mommy approached him, flatly declaring she wouldn't hold back. While he cautiously asked what trick she was planning, she immediately pinned him to the ground, making the brown-haired man grumble irritably. Why do all these demonesses like to be on top? Pinned to the ground, the brown-haired man suddenly remembered a bitter lesson. Female demons might not be physically strong, but they can drain their opponent's power through certain actions. Mommy's snake tail coiled tightly around his arm, making the brown-haired man realize he was about to become a victim of that trick. He broke out in a cold sweat as Mommy pressed her body close, her snake tail provocatively swaying. "No way." He strained to resist, determined not to let this woman drain all the power he had cultivated for so long. Mommy smirked mockingly, nonchalantly announcing, "What's the point of resisting? You've been poisoned by my snake venom, a poison specifically for men." She continued her psychological attack, threatening that if he lay still, he'd be fine. But if he resisted, the poison would spread and make him explode. The brown-haired man gritted his teeth and cursed, feeling the damned poison seeping into his body. Mommy licked her lips provocatively, growling, "If you can't take it anymore, then I'll enjoy this feast," she roared, her sharp claws extended, preparing to strike. Suddenly, Mommy froze, sensing a strange blue energy emanating from her opponent's chest. A deep gash was clearly visible on the brown-haired man's chest muscles. He looked down. His body was torn open, his clothes tattered. He resentfully realized this was an old wound from a battle with a low-level demon beast. Seeing her opponent seemed serious, Mommy covered her mouth and giggled, thinking he had this bizarre preference. She licked her lips, her eyes lighting up. Such an attractive body. I wonder what it tastes like. The power of the death, God is mine, Mommy declared and then lunged down. She sank her fangs into the brown-haired man's shoulder, beginning the energy-draining process. Whoosh! An extremely powerful surge of dark energy erupted from the brown-haired man's body, sending Mommy flying high into the sky. Mommy was flung away like a broken kite, while the brown-haired man still lay sprawled on the ground. Suddenly, Princess Maya appeared with an impassive expression, questioning, "What are you two doing?" Her attendant Ao put her hands on her hips, clearly jealous. "While the princess and I were looking for you, you were here fooling around with each other?" Lying flat on the ground, the brown-haired man quickly explained, "It's not like that. That woman poisoned me," Ao snapped, not believing a word. "Poisoned and still so energetic? Are you making fun of me?" Maya glanced, then ordered decisively, "Get up now." The brown-haired man continued his act, explaining that if he stood up, the poison would take effect and he would explode. Losing patience, Ao grabbed his hair and yanked his head up, roaring, "There's no such ridiculous poison." Pulled upright, the brown-haired man bewilderedly realized his body was completely normal, with no signs of exploding at all. He realized he had been tricked, and furiously pointed and yelled, "You dared to trick me." Mommy appeared out of nowhere, covering her mouth and smirking mockingly. "I didn't expect the death god to be so naive." "Really?" She licked her lips, looking at him with a meaningful gaze. "You're really cute." The brown-haired man froze, his brain unable to process it fast enough. "Is this woman crazy? Just a second ago she wanted to kill me, and now she's flirting?" Mommy declared haughtily, "I'll spare you today. See you again." She stepped forward, placed her hand on his chest, and whispered, "Next time, let's have some fun together." He growled, "If you don't want to die, get lost and find someone else." Mommy leaned in close, arguing playfully. "When men say no, they mean yes, right?" "I know it." Without further ado, she sealed it with a fleeting kiss. The brown-haired man blushed, utterly speechless at his opponent's boldness. In the background, Maya and Ao stood with their arms crossed, observing the entire display of public affection with the most serious expressions imaginable. Ao flared up, snapping, "What are you two doing in front of the princess?" Mommy nonchalantly turned her back and walked away, whistling as if nothing had happened, then called back, "Wait." She turned back, her eyes full of provocation and challenge. Maya blocked her path, coldly declaring, "This is my territory. Do you think this is a marketplace where you can come and go as you please?" Mommy covered her mouth, chuckling mockingly, directly taunting, "Oh, I'm surprised. The princess knows how to get jealous too?" She put on a mysterious air, raised a finger, "But I didn't come here alone." Mommy placed her hand on the ground and began to cast some kind of magic. A surge of purple energy erupted from her body, looking extremely enchanting. A purple magical serpent slithered out from behind Mommy, looking both eerie and dangerous. The scene shifts to a flashback. Mari lay slumped on the ground, his entire body bruised and battered, barely breathing, as if on the verge of death. Mommy let out a satisfied sigh, her face beaming. "This feeling is truly wonderful." She asked Mari seductively, "How are you feeling now? Did my demonic energy help you feel better?" Mommy growled, her eyes sharp as blades, vowing revenge. "That bastard Moran injured you. One day, I will flay him alive to repay this debt." A strange sound echoed. Mommy glanced around cautiously, and the magical serpent also hissed. She hid behind a bush, observing the situation from afar. It turned out to be Moran's wyvern, lying slumped on the ground, seemingly defeated. Moran appeared, his face filled with murderous intent, questioning Mari. "Isn't Shura not in the demon realm? Why did he suddenly return? Are you deceiving me?" Mari replied, his voice tense. "I just found out myself. The mandala's eye I sent out has been completely obscured." He concluded with a grim expression, realizing this situation was unfavorable. "They've probably discovered us." Hidden behind a tree, Mommy muttered suspiciously, "Mari, why are those two together?" Moran looked impatient, snapping at Mari. "What are you going to do? Are you just going to let that woman do whatever she wants?" Mari replied nonchalantly, with a superior air. "What's the rush? There's still time until the Council of Four Clans convenes." He smirked sinisterly, revealing his dark intentions. "And if all goes well, I can use this opportunity to eliminate an enemy." Moran narrowed his eyes, still not understanding his accomplice's scheme. "What do you mean?" Mari put on a mysterious air, preparing to explain his plan to Moran. Still eavesdropping from afar, Mommy showed clear annoyance, seeing those two plotting something. Suddenly, she sensed murderous intent and immediately moved from her hiding spot. A surge of purple energy grazed the spot where she had just been standing, proving that the enemy had made their move. Mommy cursed under her breath, knowing full well she had been exposed. Moran and Mari simultaneously spun around. Moran roared, "Who's there?" Mari didn't say much, gathering a purple energy orb in his hand, coldly asking, "Who's there?" Whoosh. The demonic energy was shot straight towards the bush with terrifying speed. Mommy flinched as the attack narrowly grazed past her. Too fast, too dangerous. She broke out in a cold sweat, assessing her own strength. 1 against 2, there's no chance of winning. Mommy decided to make a run for it, planning her escape route. A wise woman always plans for the future. Retreat now. From the shadows, Maran and Mari ordered their subordinates. It's there. Don't let it escape. On the ground, a small, round, green monster lay motionless. Seemingly Mari's scout had been eliminated. Maran and Mari looked down at the corpse. Maran exclaimed in surprise. Jiran? Mommy, the pink-haired demoness, smirked. Warning. Maran isn't someone to be easily dismissed. He seems to have an ace up his sleeve. Be careful. Princess Maya, her face cold as ice, questioned. Why are you telling us this? Mommy licked her lips seductively, her voice as sweet as honey. Of course, it's because. She glanced towards Maya's group and the brown-haired man, continuing. I like. Mommy blushed, feigning shyness. Your man. Maya was speechless, frozen by the blatant taunt. Mommy burst into delighted laughter, waving her hand. Just kidding. She feigned regret. We were just about to have some fun, but you all interrupted us. How boring. I'll have to find someone else to relieve myself with. Mommy arched her back, showing off her deadly curves, winking. Consider that little show a gift for you. With that said, she flew away swiftly, leaving behind a meaningful remark. Feel free to accept it. The brown-haired attendant wondered about Mommy's intentions, but Maya had pieced things together. Who knows? But it's clear now, the mandala's eye is pulling the strings behind Maran's actions, Maya muttered, calculating the new situation. According to that demoness, it seems Maran and Mari have joined forces. What in the world are they plotting? The attendant stated decisively. The enemy has already gotten our measure. Prepare for battle. A colossal black dragon landed on the ground, ready to await its master's command. Maya and her attendant calmly climbed onto the dragon's back, ignoring the brown-haired man still standing on the ground. The brown-haired man frantically called out, Wait, aren't you taking me with you? Maya glanced down with sharp, cold eyes. You still seem full of energy. Looks like you don't need a rest, do you? The dragon took flight, soaring into the sky, and Maya commanded from above, Don't come back until you've cleared out all the remaining monsters. Left alone, the brown-haired man could only helplessly run after them, shouting, Wait! The brown-haired man angrily looked down at the town from above. That Maya woman truly shows no mercy, daring to abandon me on this mountain. He blushed, telling himself not to provoke enmity with women, especially those two demonesses. The brown-haired man checked his body, realizing his wounds had healed, and wondered if he could absorb demonic energy. With his body brimming with energy, he confidently strode into town. He entered a shop, where the mustachioed shopkeeper warmly welcomed him. The brown-haired man stood before the counter, exuding confidence. The shopkeeper asked the customer, Are you looking for something? His eyes fixed on a blood-stained uniform on the counter. Is this a hero's uniform? The shopkeeper sneered, confirming it was looted from a human soldier, with a bit of blood to make it authentic. The shopkeeper continued to advertise, saying it was an officer's uniform, durable fabric, and who knows, might even hide something interesting inside. The brown-haired man immediately sealed the deal. I'll buy it. Inside a simple inn-room, it seemed he had found a place to rest. He had put on the new shirt and began rummaging through the jacket he had just bought. His hand delved into the inner pocket and found a small box. Found it. The brown-haired man looked quite dashing in his new outfit, holding the loot he had just found. He opened the box. Inside was a pair of electronic contact lenses, specialized hero equipment for measuring energy and classifying monsters. He mused, thinking about the injustice that only officers were equipped with these, causing ordinary soldiers to die like flies because they didn't know their own limits. Memories flooded back. When he was still human, he had to use black market connections to get one, but it broke on the very first day. Recalling the grueling struggle to earn money, he bitterly thought he should have used that money for a good meal instead. The brown-haired man held the contact lens, wondering if the eyes of the demon kind had the same structure as human eyes. Click. He immediately fitted the tech item into his eye, looking quite professional. Standing before the mirror, he prepared to activate his power to check his own stats. A surge of black and red demonic energy erupted around his body, proving his power was no joke. The eye with the lens glowed with a technological blue light, beginning the scanning and analysis process. The stat panel appeared. Strength 30, Agility 20, Defense 10, Recovery 40, and current rank C number. He smirked with satisfaction, never expecting this body to be so formidable. Reaching rank C right from the start, he muttered the monster classification system to himself, from F to S, where rank S and above were considered top tier. He openly gloated, thinking this body was overwhelmingly powerful. Just yesterday I struggled with that puny Jiran, and now I'm rank C. Truly a genius. But he quickly realized the problem. The Deverolf system would automatically seek out opponents of the same rank, meaning the stronger he became, the tougher the bosses he would have to hunt. He clearly defined his goal. Facing fire-breathing monsters, pure physical strength was useless. He needed genuine, potent, demonic energy. Images of attack-type heroes like lightning, fire, and ice flashed in his mind. Realizing that the fighting style of the demon kind was similar to human superpowers, he then thought of creation-type powers like earth and stone, showing the diversity of abilities. The brown-haired man wondered what kind of demon kind this Shura body belonged to. and if it possessed a special psychic ability. Memories of a life or death battle suddenly flooded his mind. He recalled the moment a mysterious power from deep within his body erupted, instinctively creating a terrifying surge of energy in self-defense. Returning to reality, he sat cross-legged on the bed, deciding to try and recreate that sensation to grasp the demonic energy. He closed his eyes, focusing his entire mind on sensing the flow of energy within. His face grew serious, completely immersed in a meditative state to unlock the latent power of the demon kind. The brown-haired man in the demon kind body was sleeping soundly, as if dead, on the bed, sinking deep into a dream. Memories took him back to a luxurious grand hall, where an important event was taking place. Bright red banners hung high, announcing this was the Hero Award ceremony. A scarred general stood on the podium, eloquently declaring, "Today is a memorable day. After a long and arduous battle, we have finally defeated the monsters and brought peace." The general continued to praise an outstanding individual, one who had single-handedly infiltrated the enemy camp, endured hardships, and caused the enemy to collapse from within, wiping out all the monsters. He pointed towards a young man in uniform, boldly declaring, "He is the hero of all humanity." The stage lights shone, highlighting the young hero, who was Ren Daban. Below the stage, the crowd erupted in excited cheers. "Hero, hero." Ren Daban stepped onto the stage, facing the general. The general placed a hand on his shoulder, affirming, "You and your father are the heroes of humanity, the pride of all heroes." The general solemnly pinned the most prestigious medal onto Ren Daban's chest. Ren Daban saluted in a military fashion, proudly replying, "I am deeply honored." A little boy in the crowd looked at him with eyes full of admiration, tugging at his mother's leg and exclaiming, "The hero is so cool. I want to protect everyone like him too." The boy raised his fist, eagerly demanding, "Teach me how to fight." The mother stroked her son's head, gently explaining that the monsters had been defeated by the hero, and from now on, there was no need to live in fear. Ren Daban knelt down, lightly flicked the boy's nose, and promised to teach him the essence of battle to become a man his mother would be proud of. Suddenly, Ren Daban froze, his gaze fixed in one direction as if sensing something. Shiraishi Chiyo approached with a group of beautiful girls, smiling as she said, "I knew you could do it." Ren Daban raised his glass, sincerely thanking Chiyo. "Thank you, Chiyo. Without your healing arts, I would have perished long ago." A brown-haired girl among Chiyo's friends teased, "Chiyo saved you because she likes you, you know." Ren Daban blushed slightly, a little flustered by the blunt teasing. Chiyo blushed crimson, snapping at her friend to stop talking nonsense, but was then exposed for having cried her eyes out when Ren disappeared. The other blonde girl added, turning to Ren Daban with a challenge, "If you like her too, then bottoms up." Cornered, Chiyo could only glare silently, her face still flushed. Ren Daban flashed a confident smile, raised his glass, and declared bluntly, "Chiyo, I like you too." With that said, he tilted his head back and drained the glass with great bravado. Chiyo smiled contentedly, softly replying with a sweet, "Yes." The entire hall erupted, everyone cheering for the new couple, repeatedly shouting, "Drink, drink." Ren Daban was swept into a whirlwind of toasts, one glass after another brought to his lips. Suddenly, Ren Daban's belt burst open because his stomach was too distended. He grimaced, waving his hand in refusal. "I can't drink anymore. I can't take it." A group of jealous officers approached, forcing drinks on him. A man has to drink. Just became a hero and already so conceited? The blonde girl from before also chimed in with a provocative tone. "If you don't drink, Chiyo will be mine." While Chiyo could only beg them to stop. Ren Daban's stomach swelled abnormally as if about to explode, and he screamed in pain. Ren Daban collapsed, sweat pouring out, realizing something was wrong, and told himself, "Don't be fooled." The illusion shattered, the crowd vanished, replaced by Kanda's 3 black-clad subordinates approaching, and a voice rang out, "He is no hero." Kanda Yu revealed himself with a malicious sneer, his eyes bloodshot, declaring, "He is a traitor." Ren Daban's eyes widened with fury, rage flaring within him as he recognized the one who had stabbed him in the back, and he gritted his teeth, uttering Kanda's name. Ren Daban roared in despair, "Don't mess with me. I am not a traitor." Kanda Yu sneered, with Riko Dairen and Sakuma Retsu standing behind him. He declared, "The evidence is clear, yet you still deny it? He is a spy for the Demon Clan and has already merged with a monster." Suddenly, a pair of black horns sprouted from Ren Daban's head, leaving him stunned by his own transformation. The old general's face was filled with murderous intent, and without a moment's hesitation, he roared an order, "Seize him." Even the mother and child who once admired Ren turned 180 degrees, screaming in fear, "Hes not a hero, Hes a villain." The crowd of civilians also joined in, cursing Ren as a deceiver, almost having been fooled by him. Some old friends quickly pulled Shiraishi Chiyo away, shouting warnings for her to stay away from the danger. Chiyo only managed to call out a friend's name in panic as she was dragged away. Ren Daban desperately reached out to Chiyo, trying to explain, "It's not like that. Listen to me, Chiyo." Kanda Yu, with bloodshot, murderous eyes, gathered a sphere of lightning in his hand and roared, "Monster!" He gave Ren no chance to explain, unleashing a powerful electric current accompanied by a curse, "Die." Ren Daban jolted awake in bed, gasping for breath, the shock from the dream attack still evident on his face. It turned out he was in an unfamiliar room. All those terrifying memories were just a nightmare. He sighed in relief, reassuring himself that it was only a dream. Ren brought a hand to his forehead, telling himself he must have been too exhausted to have fallen asleep without realizing it. Even so, he couldn't help but blush thinking about the sweet moment with Chiyo, secretly wishing that part had been real. But then he gritted his teeth, bitterly cursing that bastard Kanda for ruining everything. Suddenly, an urge to urinate struck, and Ren Dabon quickly sprang out of bed to find a restroom. He let out a sigh of pure relief, secretly thinking he had almost flooded his pants. Ren Dabon stood, relieving himself in a luxurious restroom, the trickling sound of water breaking the silence. Splashing all over the floor, something didn't seem right. Ren Dabon paused while relieving himself, his face showing confusion. Huh? He rubbed his eyes, wondering if he was still half asleep. But no, his vision blurred, and the stream of water split into two. He realized instantly. No, this is. A crazy thought flashed through his mind. Could it be? Damn it, there are two of them. Meanwhile, in another corridor, Ao was listening to a Demon Clan engineer report on the installation of a water circulation system. The engineer explained that they could reuse wastewater using human filtration systems, solving the water shortage problem. Ao nodded, thinking to herself that her cleanliness-loving princess would finally get to bathe. Suddenly, a piercing scream echoed from the end of the corridor. Ren Dabon burst out like a madman, yelling, Why? Why? It's not like before. He ran frantically, completely oblivious to Io, and the engineer standing dumbfounded. The engineer broke into a sweat, asking with a trembling voice, Was that Lord Shura? What the hell just happened? Ao clicked her tongue, grumbling that this man was just a troublesome burden, while the princess was swamped with work. But then she paused, a recent detail making her think, Wait a minute. What did I just see? She recalled the place he had just burst out from. That was the door leading to Princess Maya's private bathroom. Inside that room was a special purification device with a purple liquid tank. Complex machinery systems were connected, looking nothing like a normal bathroom. Princess Maya stood before a machinery system, introducing it as a water circulation system. She crossed her arms, praising humanity's invention that could turn wastewater into clean water. Maya smirked, calculating that if this product was good, it could be traded with other clans. Her slender hand pressed the machine's start button. The tank filled with purple liquid began to bubble, and the system started operating. The filtration unit vibrated violently, processing the dirty water. The shower head began to spray crystal clear, sparkling clean water. Maya held out her hand to catch the water, her face showing a hint of surprise and satisfaction. She enjoyed the warm water, feeling extremely comfortable and relaxed. Suddenly, Ren Dabon, his face filled with panic, yelled, What's going on? This has never happened in the Demon Clan. He ran frantically, while Ao, from behind, desperately shouted, Wait! Ren Dabon didn't stop, crashing straight into a double door, yelling Maya's name. He froze, realizing he had just burst into a completely unfamiliar place. A strange sound came from behind the frosted door, startling him. Ren Dabon broke into a sweat, sensing that something was terribly wrong. He turned to look, hot steam billowing from the room he had just barged into. He called Maya's name once more, his voice full of worry. Through the steam, the faint silhouette of a woman with characteristic horns appeared. The steam gradually dissipated, revealing Princess Maya's smooth, bare back as she bathed. The deadly, alluring scene unfolded completely before the stunned young man's eyes. Princess Maya turned, her cold purple eyes staring directly at the intruder, completely unfazed. Ren Dabon froze, his face blank as he realized he had just committed a grave offense. His heart pounded like war drums, his face flushing crimson at the scorching sight. Inside his head, a cute chick just hatched from its egg, signaling that something had just awakened. Ao rushed to the bathroom door, her face pale as she screamed, Princess, that man. Amidst the hazy steam, the two stood facing each other, the awkward atmosphere so thick it could freeze. Ao roared, How dare you act so rudely in front of the princess? While Maya merely asked coldly, Who? Ao delivered a devastating kick, while Maya swung her whip, both simultaneously cursing the intruder as a filthy wretch. Wham! Ren Dabon took Ao's kick squarely to his ribs, sent flying like a ball. He literally flew away, smashing through the ceiling and yelling that he didn't mean to. Both Maya and Ao looked up through the hole in the ceiling, Maya muttering, There really are two of them. Ren Dabon clutched his head, screaming in panic, unable to understand why it had mutated and reacted with double the intensity, completely out of control. Maya, now properly dressed, appeared and declared nonchalantly, It's not a mutation. You've merged with Mommy's serpent. Ren Dabon asked blankly, Merged? What do you mean? Maya explained that the serpent species has two parts, and Mommy had connected her own organ to it to gain experience during training. A seductive image of Mommy flashed by, and Maya murmured, So that's how it is. Ao showed disdain, muttering that not everyone wants power through such a crude method. It's truly troublesome. Ren Dabon argued defiantly, claiming that even if it was a fake, it didn't mean he was worse than the real Shura, whom the princess already despised. He began to ponder, realizing that with this body, his physique and strength would be top tier if he returned to the human world. And then he indulged in self-admiration, imagining all men envying his perfect body in front of a bevy of beauties. Ren Dabon gritted his teeth, cursing himself for the dark thoughts consuming his mind. What the hell am I thinking? Maya coldly explained that merging with the serpent had amplified his desires, and if not resolved, it would only get worse. Inside his body, an army of elite soldiers was brimming with vigor, ready to sally forth. The gun was loaded, rigid to the extreme, and trembling intensely. Boom! An internal explosion occurred, nipping all dark intentions in the bud. Ren Daban's face turned ashen, asking in confusion if Mommy's words about this self-destruction were true. He was in extreme panic, yelling to ask how to return to normal. There must be a way. Maya casually replied, yes, but there's a price, and Ren Daban hastily declared he would do anything. The princess smirked meaningfully, uttering a threatening remark. I hope that determination lasts until the very end. With eyes sharp as knives, Maya gave a concise order. Ao, hold him. Quick as lightning, Ao closed in from behind, locking Ren Daban's arms tightly before he could react. Maya pulled out a razor-sharp dagger, radiating intense killing intent, preparing for an on-the-spot surgery. Ren Daban turned green, yelling hesitantly, wait, why so drastic? The princess explained this was the simplest way to prevent him from losing control, as if about to neuter a pet. Ao held him tighter, whispering into his ear that, as a man, he should be able to endure a little pain. Ren Daban screamed in extreme agony. This was pain no man could bear. He'd rather die. He was utterly terrified, fearing that if anything happened, his little brother would also be gone. Maya nonchalantly announced that this was the first case in history, so there was no guarantee of success. Ren Daban froze, screaming a desperate and horrified, what? He was utterly helpless, pinned by Ao, while his masculine future lay entirely in the princess's hands. Ao held Ren Daban tightly, reporting to the princess that she was ready, and received the cold command. Proceed. Ren Daban wailed in despair. Stop. I haven't even used it once. Just kill me instead. The princess's razor-sharp blade glinted with a deadly light, poised to end his masculine life. The poor man could only scream, stop, in utter helplessness. Just as the knife was about to descend, the princess suddenly paused, an idea striking her. Wait, perhaps there's someone who can resolve this. Ren Daban was released, collapsing to the ground, his limbs trembling from his narrow escape from death. He panted, his face pale, but inwardly cheered. Ha, I'm alive. Ao shot a sharp glare, secretly regretting. If only I could sever both sources of sin, how wonderful that would be. Ren Daban sprang to his feet, pointing directly at the princess and snapping. If there was another way, why didn't you say so sooner? I almost flew away. Ao glanced sideways, suspiciously asking the princess who she was thinking of. The princess confirmed with certainty. Indeed, the alchemist Catherine. The princess explained that Catherine was Mommy's sworn enemy, and in the past had conducted countless experiments to counteract her. Those experiments looked extremely perverse and brutal, proving that Catherine might have a solution for Ren Daban's condition. Ren Daban broke out in a cold sweat, wondering why all the Demon Clan women were such eccentrics. But he quickly accepted his fate, as having a choice was better than none. Alright, no other option could be worse. He turned and asked the princess directly, where is she? The princess replied that Catherine was not far from the central area. Maya decisively changed the plan. We will have to adjust our schedule. She ordered Ao. Ao, prepare immediately tonight. Tomorrow we will set off for the Four Clans Conference. A formidable escort and griffin mounts were ready to depart through the treacherous mountains. The demon knights in gleaming white and gold armor escorted the convoy, alongside the griffin mounts. From a distance, someone was observing the princess's entire convoy through binoculars. It turned out to be Mari and Maran. Maran confirmed. As expected, they departed earlier. Mari looked thoughtful, saying that Mommy would never reveal crucial information to everyone, not even to him. He narrowed his eyes suspiciously. So where did this information come from? A female voice echoed from behind, revealing shocking news. My child has merged with Shura. The traitor is Mommy. Mari explained the logic. Therefore, Mommy would naturally seek Catherine's help. Mommy sneered, regretting that Maya wouldn't get to enjoy those two for long. What a waste. Maran questioned Mommy, who supposedly hated men, why she was cooperating. Mommy replied curtly, women should help each other. She laid her cards on the table with a scornful smile. Those words are only for humans. For the Demon Clan, self-interest comes first. In a 2-on-1 situation, it's obvious which side to choose. Isn't it? Maran burst out laughing, delighted by her cruelty. Truly the poisonous flower of the Demon Clan. You are truly cruel. He promised Mommy, I owe you this time. When I become the Demon King, I will certainly not let you suffer any loss. Finishing his words, Maran swung his greatsword, ordering a full assault. Now, attack, he roared, rallying his subordinates behind him. Charge. Maran looked down at the convoy, shouting provocatively, Shura, do you think I'll flinch before these petty threats? Without another word, he plunged straight down from above, shouting loudly, Die. Boom. A dazzling explosion engulfed a carriage in the escort convoy. A griffin mount neighed a panicked, desperate cry. The escort formation shattered. The knights were flung away like leaves in a storm. Ao shouted loudly, ordering the remaining troops, Protect the princess! As Maran's subordinates swarmed in, and the battle officially began. Amidst the chaotic battlefield, one of Maran's soldiers swung his sword, cutting down an escort knight. Immediately, another knight retaliated, thrusting his sword straight through the chest of an enemy wearing a purple cloak. While the subordinates were fighting fiercely, Mari merely stood observing from a distance, with a cold, impassive face. Mommy approached, her voice full of provocation. Aren't we cooperating? Why aren't you joining in? Mari sneered contemptuously, asking in return, Do you think I'm as foolish as that guy, not knowing him being used? Mommy feigned innocence, putting a finger to her lips. I don't understand what you're saying at all. Mari analyzed clearly, stating that although Maran had many troops, Maya's side had Shura, who was a formidable force. So watching the show was still the more advantageous bet. He looked directly at Mommy, laying his cards on the table. For two strong individuals to eliminate each other, that's your goal, isn't it? Exposed, Mommy burst out laughing, admitting, heh, you guessed it perfectly. The purple snake adorning Mommy's neck subtly raised its head, as if listening. Mommy declared that Maran still didn't understand her, asserting that she was not only cruel, but also held a grudge against all who had harmed that child. Mari remained calm, asking pointedly, but this is also part of your plan, isn't it? Mommy smiled confidently, flattering. Someone as intelligent as you would never submit to that fool. Mari was silent for a moment, his gaze distant as he listened to Mommy's words. Suddenly, Mari turned back with sharp eyes, exposing her. So you were the one eavesdropping yesterday. Mommy didn't flinch. She calmly admitted. Oh, so you've noticed for a long time? Mari continued to press her, his voice full of teasing. You knew so clearly yet didn't expose me? Don't tell me you're interested in me? Mari moved closer, raising Mommy's chin with an air of dominance. More accurately, it's because we share a common goal. The two embraced, Mari whispering into her ear. We're quite compatible, aren't we? I'm only realizing it now. Mari spoke softly, leaving a suggestive sentence unfinished. Perhaps we, Mommy smirked, enticing Mari by saying that they could become the perfect pair. As soon as she finished speaking, Mommy revealed her true intentions, unleashing a magical snake to attack Mari, but he calmly caught it with one bare hand. The magical snake exploded, creating a dazzling purple energy blast that flung both of them far away. Mommy lunged like a hunting leopard, but Mari merely stood there, sneering. Mari smirked, uttering a chilling remark. In the end, a woman's words still can't be trusted. Mommy roared, her entire body erupting with purple magical power, growling. I told you I haven't forgotten what you did to me. Don't you remember anything? She lunged straight at Mari, declaring bluntly, I need to get my revenge. In the middle of the battlefield, a gray-haired female warrior lay slumped on the ground, with blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, seemingly defeated. Marin stood amidst the pile of corpses, laughing heartily and arrogantly. Weak. Too weak. They fell before I even had time to enjoy it. A complete victory for me. He turned to ask his subordinates, his face showing impatience. Where are Shura and Maya? Don't tell me they're still in the carriage? A gray-haired scout with small horns joyfully waved from atop a piece of wreckage. Found them. They're here. The scout pointed, reporting the location to Marin, who stood right beside him, his face full of eagerness. Ren Daban, in Shura's form, collapsed amidst the rubble, with blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, one eye covered. Princess Maya shared the same fate, unconscious with an eye patch, lying right beside him. Ren Daban mumbled in his daze, realizing the dire situation. It seems we've been completely ambushed. Maran sneered contemptuously, mocking Ren Daban. For someone called the Godslayer to die so easily, this is the price for being blinded by lust. Maran's eyes gleamed with madness and ambition for conquest. Ren Daban recognized the familiar sword lying right at Maran's feet. Uttering its name, Devarolf. Maran extended his hand, declaring triumphantly, what he once prided himself on now belongs to me. Cuckoo cuckoo. He bent down, picking up the sword Devarolf from beside the helpless Ren Daban. Maran, who was swaggering, froze. Huh? Boom! The blonde man was blown away like trash by an extremely powerful force before he could even comprehend what happened. Ren Daban grabbed Maran by the neck in a frenzy, and the blonde man could only let out a pathetic scream. A fiery red energy explosion tore through the ground, its destructive power terrifying. Meanwhile, Mari and Mommy were still putting on a show, with Mari unleashing a lightning kick on Mommy. Mommy was sent flying backward, her body arching like a bow from the impact. Mari stood firm, watching Mommy get knocked far away, then created an ice wall behind himself. The gray-haired man turned away, coldly asking, what's happening? Ignoring Mommy, who was still dazed. Amidst the desolate ruins, smoke and flames billowed after the sudden attack. Marin scrambled out of the pit, dragging Shura's motionless body with him. The blonde man coughed violently, his face bruised, but his eyes still burned with resentment. Maran roared, asking Mari's group, what the hell is going on? Was that a bomb? Looking down at the fake corpse, Maran was stunned to realize. We've been tricked. This isn't Maya, it's just a magical puppet. Maran spun around, his eyes blazing as he stared at Mommy, not uttering a word. Mommy feigned innocence, vehemently denying. What are you looking at? I didn't leak any information to them, Mommy muttered, admitting she had underestimated Princess Maya, having been outmaneuvered so quickly. She scoffed at both men. The two of you combined couldn't even take down one girl. Truly useless. Mommy turned to Mari, uttering bitter words. I shouldn't have helped you. What a waste of a good opportunity. Then she vanished. High above, Princess Maya and Ao were safe on the Black Dragon's back, calmly observing the explosion from afar. Ao confirmed confidently. Just as the princess predicted, Mommy had colluded with Maran and his accomplices. Princess Maya analyzed the situation. Indeed, it's a taste of her own medicine. That Mommy woman does everything with a purpose, even merging the snake with Shura. Maya exposed Mommy, asserting that she deliberately urged them to leave earlier to set an ambush. She continued to deduce. Since she wasn't skilled enough to go solo, she sought allies, and the muscle-brained Moran was the easiest puppet to control. Maya turned to Ren Dabon, looking suspicious. But can bombs made from rock and wood truly have such destructive power? Ren Dabon explained as if it were obvious. It's not just rock and wood. Add saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur, and you get a simple bomb. Just basic hero knowledge. He smirked, acting superior. With the right conditions, I could even craft much better weapons. Ao retorted that those puny bombs were like mosquito bites on steel to the demon clan, unless they were caught off guard. Ren Dabon nodded in agreement, emphasizing that strategy was the deciding factor, then confidently boasted of his achievement. This time, by exploiting Mommy's complacency and Moran's greed, we turned the tables without shedding any blood. He concluded with a philosophical statement. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Maya appeared surprised by this unfamiliar concept. No need to fight? I've never heard of such a strategy. Ren Dabon pointed a finger up, explaining, Ah, that's from Sun Tzu's Art of War. Why would the princess know about military strategy? Ao immediately bristled, snapping, Are you mocking me and the princess? While Ren Dabon casually scratched his head, retorting, You're overreacting. Are you some kind of drama queen? Ren Dabon held out a parchment scroll. Look at this. But Ao brushed it aside. No need to show off, I already know. Maya mused, marveling at the power of humanity. Weapons, strategies, science, technology. Humans possess so many astonishing things. She acknowledged that this was why humans could confront the demon clan, despite lacking magic. Princess Maya smiled faintly, wishing, It would be wonderful if the demon clan also possessed such knowledge. Ren Dabon didn't miss the opportunity, casually stating, I will teach you. His offer made Maya freeze for a moment, completely taken by surprise. Ao immediately intervened. Princess, you mustn't trust him. Humans are a cunning bunch. There's no way they would easily teach us how to fight against them. Ren Dabon glanced at Ao, secretly thinking this violent woman had suddenly become unusually sharp. Then he uttered his final words. On the battlefield, there are no eternal enemies or friends, only interests. Ren Dabon sealed the cooperation deal with Maya. Each of us holds the other's secrets, and we share a common enemy. Now we are the strongest alliance, cooperating to win. This benefits both you and me. Princess Maya remained silent, clearly considering his cunning proposal. Ren Dabon had already formulated a plan in his mind. To shatter the monsters from within, I need to understand the weaknesses of the 4 great clans. The upcoming 4 clans conference is a golden opportunity. He aimed for the ultimate goal, looking at the shadows of the demon generals. If I can gain Maya's trust, I can touch the core power of this world. Maya decided to go all in, presenting a ruler-like object and commanding, Teach me military strategy and human knowledge, starting today. Ren Dabon smirked triumphantly, his initial plan a complete success. But the princess was no pushover. She seized his wrist, her grip incredibly strong. Maya's eyes were sharp, and she warned bluntly, But if you have other intentions, I will no longer be Shura's wife. As soon as she finished speaking, she unceremoniously threw Ren Dabon off the Black Dragon's back, sending him free-falling downwards. The group landed in an ancient city, bustling with members of the Demon Clan, and other races like the Beast Clan. Ren Dabon explained to Maya and Ao that this was a public area, where the territories of the 4 great clans intersected. He added that all inter-clan transactions took place here, making the laws and order very complex. Winged clan members with powerful bat wings stood guard on the streets. Ren Dabon observed the members of the Beast Clan and Winged Clan, thinking to himself, This is the first time I've seen monsters other than the Demon Clan since arriving here. A female centaur with a fiery physique and light blue hair walked past, immediately attracting the attention of some Winged Clan members. 2 Winged Clan members watched the centaur woman with lustful eyes, clearly harboring ill intentions. One of them didn't hesitate to swing his hand and give her a loud slap on the backside. The centaur woman flinched, screaming in alarm. Ah, what are you doing? The Winged Clan member chuckled, uttering a lewd taunt. Don't pretend to be innocent. He continued to sneer. With your backside sticking up like that, aren't you inviting me? A blonde centaur strained his neck, yelling directly at the winged folk. Hey, you winged bunch. Do you know the consequences of touching our beast folk women? The leader of the winged folk sneered, his voice full of sarcasm. You crude beast folk, who only know how to use brute strength, are boring. Let me show you what true satisfaction feels like. Another muscular black-haired centaur appeared, roaring. What did you say? You dare to act so arrogant after pulling such a cowardly trick. Talking was useless. The 2 centaurs decided to teach the winged folk member a lesson, charging forward in a synchronized attack. The black-haired centaur delivered a devastating back kick, his hoof slamming directly into the winged folk member's face. A clean knockout blow. He continued to charge through the fray, using his kicking techniques to sweep away the winged folk minions, sending them spinning like tops. The winged folk flew into the air, their leader scoffing from above. Ha ha ha, you fools only know how to run on the ground, he growled, declaring that he would show the beast folk how terrifying the winged folk truly were. The entire flock of winged folk in the sky simultaneously opened fire, unleashing a rain of purple poison projectiles. The beast folk on the ground panicked and scattered before the poisonous barrage, screaming in terror. It's poison! Run! The blonde centaur, enraged, grabbed a yellow melon from a roadside stall and roared. Coward! I'll bring you down, he wound up, channeling all his strength into the throw, his muscles bulging. Whoosh! The melon was hurled with terrifying speed, tearing through the air like a cannonball. Thwack! A direct hit to the face. The winged folk leader took the melon full in the mouth, with no time to dodge. The winged folk member plunged headfirst into the ground, knocked out cold on the spot, while the blonde centaur watched with satisfaction. Humiliated, the winged folk member scrambled to his feet, howling bitterly. "You four-legged beast, I'll kill you!" A chaotic battle erupted. The beast folk and winged folk charged at each other, vegetables and fruits flying everywhere like a hellish food fight, while the blonde centaur was grabbing the winged folk member by the neck. In the distance, Ren Dabon, Maya, and Ao merely watched. Ren Dabon wondered why no one intervened, to which Maya coldly replied, "Did you not hear what this princess said?" Ao continued with an emotionless expression. "Here, race doesn't matter. No one will intervene, and no one will protect you," Maya explained concisely. Catherine chose this place because it's her ideal location. Ao stood beside them, silent as a shadow, not uttering a single word. Ren Dabon looked at their serious expressions, wondering, what's with those faces? Is Catherine really that terrifying? Maya glanced at him, her voice warning. The words terrifying aren't enough to describe her. You'll find out soon enough. Ren Dabon began to feel a premonition, his face visibly changing color. The three arrived before a building with a sign that read, Catherine's Clinic. The heavy door creaked open, revealing a dark, gloomy space within. Ren Dabon gulped, his intuition telling him something bad was about to happen. From the darkness, a small white robot with a medical symbol on its head rolled out. The robot stopped, its glowing blue eyes looking directly at the group. The shadows of the three powerful guests stretched long, enveloping the small robot. The robot introduced itself in an electronic voice. "Welcome. I am Toto, the AI medical assistant. How may I help you?" Ren Dabon was dumbfounded, not expecting such technology in the demon realm. An AI assistant? Maya explained nonchalantly. Catherine is extremely interested in human science and technology. She saw this thing and just snatched it to be her assistant. Ao stepped forward, ordering the robot. Princess Maya-sama needs to see Catherine. Robot Toto received the information. Understood. Please follow this way. The AI robot led the three through a vast corridor that resembled an ancient library. They passed towering shelves, filled with experiment vials containing liquids of various colors. Toto stopped before a large, intricately carved door with an office sign. The robot turned back and announced, "The master is currently busy. Please wait here." While waiting, Ren Dabon, Maya, and Ao stood before Catherine's office with the robot Toto. Ren Dabon glanced at the stack of books nearby, all formidable works on human science. Specialized books like biology, pharmacology, and even thigh anatomy were neatly arranged. Ren Dabon muttered, realizing there were also acupuncture point charts and human anatomy models here. He secretly thought that this Demon Clan anatomy model was made with such terrifying detail, indistinguishable from a real person, proving Catherine's frightening understanding of human anatomy. Ren Dabon fell silent, turning to look through the office's glass window. Through the glass, he saw a white-haired woman wearing glasses, looking like a scientist, working in the laboratory. The white-haired woman, with a cold expression, held a test tube, appearing like a true expert. She was pouring a strange blue liquid into a beaker, looking extremely focused. Ren Dabon turned to Maya, wondering, "Is that Catherine? She doesn't look as terrifying as you said." Maya merely smirked. "Go ahead and think that. You'll have a surprise coming." The robot Toto unexpectedly spoke up, warning Ren Dabon. "The master does not like to be disturbed while working. Please remain silent." Toto coldly pointed towards the anatomy model. "Otherwise, you will meet the same fate as that." Ren Dabon flinched, pointing at the model with a horrified expression, stammering, It's alive." The robot explained nonchalantly. "That was an old patient. He made noise while the master was working, so she got angry and turned him into an anatomy model." Toto also pointed to a board nearby, adding coldly, "This is his skin." The living anatomy model was shedding tears, screaming in its mind, "I was wrong. Please forgive me." A comparative image showed the unfortunate patient when he was intact and his current bare-muscled form, both shedding tears. Maya sneered. "See? I wasn't exaggerating." Ren Dabon, his face drained of color, trembled as he admitted, "I take back my words. She's not terrifying. She's a devil." Bang! The office door was suddenly pushed open with immense force. A stunning black-haired woman stepped out, surprised to see the group waiting. The scene was devastated, and muscular Beast Clan members lay scattered on the floor, seemingly struck by some attack. An arrogant winged clan member scoffed. "Haha, where's the confidence of you four-legged beasts now? Once you're poisoned by me, all you can do is lie still and wait to die." Ren Dabon observed from a distance, muttering as he recognized these as the winged clan and Beast Clan members who had caused trouble earlier. Suddenly, the medical robot Toto rushed out, raising its hand and requesting, "Please maintain silence in the hospital." Toto continued to order the arrogant winged clan member, "Line up in order." Another winged clan member standing nearby looked bewildered, not understanding what was happening. The leader snapped, "Get lost!" and kicked the small robot with a powerful blow. After clearing the obstacle, he grabbed a frightened blue-haired woman, saying, "Now, no one will protect you, so come with me obediently." Several Beast Clan warriors, despite being weakened by the poison, still tried to shout, "Stop! Let her go, you bastard. The winged clan member turned back with a sinister smile, sneering. Oh, still alive? He licked his lips perversely. Never mind. Doing it right in front of you will surely be very stimulating. Ow. Maya's female attendant gritted her teeth, her eyes blazing. Filthy scum. Ow turned to her mistress. Princess, should we intervene? But Maya coldly reminded her. Have you forgotten the purpose of our trip? Maya explained clearly. Conflicts between the 4 great clans are commonplace. Reckless intervention will only bring more trouble. Meanwhile, the winged clan member leaned close to the woman's ear, whispering filthy words. Be good. Show me your famous services, and if you please me, I might just spare you. Swish! A sharp sword strike suddenly cut through the air, and the winged clan member was sent flying before he could even understand what happened. Ao growled, veins bulging on her forehead, clearly unable to hold back any longer. She drew her weapon, her eyes sharp as knives. I can't stand it anymore. As soon as she finished speaking, Ao dashed off like a whirlwind, sweeping past Ren Daban, who was frozen in place by her terrifying speed. In just an instant, Ao closed in, unleashing a swirling slash that cleanly dealt with the winged clan members engaged in their filthy acts. Ren Daban glanced over, while Maya and Ao stood behind, observing the situation. The blue-haired centaur woman was safe. The winged clan members who were sent flying roared furiously. Who was that? How dare you interfere with our business? Ren Daban declared coldly, radiating intense killing intent. I utterly despise scum like you who treat women as prey. Even if you're Mostro, it's unforgivable. Maya smirked, showing amusement, while Al was surprised. Well done. Even more hot-headed than me. A winged clan member recognized Ren Daban's horns. His voice panicked. A demon clan member? The leader, enraged, spread his wings and charged. You meddling bastard, die. Ren Daban didn't bother to dodge, charging alone straight into the swarm of winged clan members flying towards him like moths to a flame. Swish, swish, swish. With just a few flashing sword strikes, Ren Daban cleanly dispatched the minions. Their skill was only so much. In a nearby laboratory, the robot Toto frantically sounded the alarm. Alarm! Alarm! Decibel threshold exceeded. Requesting silence. Oh well. I give up on you all. The blaring alarm rang out, and a white-haired alchemist, focused on her experiment, had to frown. The chemical vials on the table vibrated violently due to the tremors from outside. The alchemist, Catherine, clearly showed her displeasure when her experiment was interrupted. Her gloved hand trembled with anger, causing the precious potion she was concocting to spill. A fiery aura of rage erupted behind Catherine. She gritted her teeth, clearly having reached her limit. Catherine roared, slamming her hand onto the table. Too noisy. You're disrupting my work. The winged clan members outside flinched upon hearing the shout, falling silent immediately. Even Ren Daban had to stop, turning his head to look towards the source of the powerful voice. The robot Toto trembled as it reported, Master's blood pressure is skyrocketing. She's about to go berserk. Click, clack. The sound of high heels echoed as the owner of the laboratory stepped out. Catherine appeared, pointing at the winged clan members and shouting loudly. I told you to be silent, wasting my reagents. Get back to work properly. While the robot Toto profusely apologized, a winged clan member brazenly asked Catherine, sneering that he had heard of her as a hybrid, but she looked just like a normal woman. Ren Daban, in his demon clan form, looked bewildered by the word hybrid. Maya explained to Ren that Catherine, just like Mommy, was a hybrid between the demon clan and the beast clan. Mommy was given as an example. She and the snake, actually her older brother, are twins, each inheriting the characteristics of one clan. But Catherine was different. She carries the characteristics of both clans within her, able to transform into a formidable hybrid monster with demon horns and a beast tail. Ren Daban was dumbfounded, deeply shocked upon learning that Mommy's snake was not a pet, but her biological older brother. Catherine stepped out of the laboratory, her eyes sharp and cold, directly asking Maya, Are you the ones causing this commotion? Maya nonchalantly pointed towards the winged clan members, blaming them entirely and saying she was merely visiting Catherine. Ren Daban immediately put on an act, clutching his chest and coughing heavily, pretending to be a weak, unrelated patient. The winged clan leader pointed directly at Ren, who was sprawled on the ground, yelling, Shut up. That pathetic act is disgusting. He turned to tattle to Catherine, shamelessly fabricating. Lady Catherine, it was that demon clan member's faction that attacked us. He continued to point towards the injured beast clan members, accusing that his friends had been severely beaten. Catherine observed silently, her emerald eyes cold as ice, devoid of any emotion. The scene was clear. The beast clan faction and Ren Daban lay scattered, while the 3 winged clan members still stood firm with their health bars almost full. Catherine turned her back and walked away, ordering the robot Toto. Get rid of the winged clan members in 1 minute, or I'll turn you into scrap metal. The winged clan leader sneered, thinking this alchemist was too arrogant, and decided he would capture her for healing those he had poisoned. He also secretly thought a highly insulting phrase. I've never eaten a mongrel dog before. Hearing the word mongrel, Catherine's killing intent exploded. Her face darkened, and her glasses glinted with a deadly light. Maya whispered to her attendant, knowing full well Catherine hated being called a mongrel, and affirmed, They're doomed. The winged clan member, still unaware of his impending doom, approached Catherine from behind, sticking out his tongue and rudely asking, What's your other half-blood? The leader of the winged clan, unaware of his impending doom, mockingly speculated about Catherine's mixed heritage. No ears, no claws, so you must be hiding a tail, right? Catherine's face darkened, her glasses concealing a deadly, cold gaze. She smirked provocatively, inviting the winged clan member. If you want to know, why don't you see for yourself? The foolish winged clan member fell for it, believing Catherine had given in, and declared he wouldn't hold back. Immediately, a massive surge of purple energy erupted from Catherine, throwing everything aside. Catherine shed her intellectual facade, transforming into a colossal half-human, half-spider monster, horns sprouting, and her silver hair cascading wildly, full of demonic allure. The winged clan leader didn't even have time to comprehend what was happening, his face turning ashen as a sharp spider leg pierced through his chest. Another one was neatly impaled from behind, blood splattering everywhere. The third one met the same fate, impaled from behind by another spider leg. Catherine, in her combat form, stood between two corpses impaled on her spider legs, coldly gazing at the last surviving member. The remaining winged clan member trembled, stammering as he realized her true identity, a spider. From a distance, Maya explained to her attendant. Catherine's mother belongs to the highly venomous Black Spider Clan, a special branch of the Beast Clan. These winged clan members stand no chance. Ao continued, revealing a horrifying truth. In the Black Spider world, males only serve for reproduction and as food. Catherine's father was devoured by her mother right after she was born. Just hearing Catherine's name was enough to make the Demon Clan men tremble, let alone provoke her anger. Catherine retracted her monstrous form, returning to her original appearance as if nothing had happened, the phantom of the colossal spider fading behind her. The two impaled winged clan members dropped heavily to the floor, officially meeting their end. Catherine adjusted her glasses, ordering the robot Toto with a disgusted expression. It's too filthy. Clean it up thoroughly. The small medical robot obediently complied, rolling towards the last gasping winged clan member. Suddenly, the robot switched to combat mode, its eyes turning fiery red. Countless mechanical arms equipped with saws, pliers, and scalpels sprouted from its body. The butcher robot began its cleanup work, dismembering the winged clan member, internal organs flying everywhere. The internal organs of the recently butchered winged clan members were submerged in jars of greenish solution, their hearts still faintly beating. The robot, Toto, reported, "Task complete." Next to it were 3 perfectly clean winged clan skeletons, posed as display specimens. Maya coldly commented on the result. The winged clan members turned into specimens in an instant. This is the consequence of provoking her. Meanwhile, the blonde centaur was gritting his teeth, enduring his wounds, his face bruised and looking pathetic. The female centaur quickly supported her comrade, pleading with Catherine. "Lady Catherine, he can't hold on much longer. Please save him." Catherine glanced at the dying centaur with an icy, emotionless gaze. She turned and walked away, coldly ordering the Beast Clan members, "Follow me." The female centaur's face lit up with joy, eagerly responding with hope. "Yes." Catherine glanced over her shoulder, telling Maya and Rendabon, who were observing, "You two as well." Rendabon broke out in a cold sweat, muttering, intending to slip away quietly. "On second thought, I'm not in a hurry, and it's not my business anyway, so I'll just leave." Maya said nothing, grabbing Rendabon's wrist tightly, stopping his attempt to retreat. Despite Rendabon's struggles, the stone-faced demon princess dragged him along. In the treatment room, the black-haired centaur lay unconscious on a hospital bed, breathing with the aid of a machine. The blonde centaur was in a similar state, connected to modern medical equipment. Catherine explained the situation. "I've given him the antidote, but his wounds need time to heal. He will stay here until he can walk again." Having finished with the Beast Clan, Catherine turned to look directly at Rendabon, asking bluntly, "And you?" Maya leaned close to Rendabon's ear, whispering something about Mommy, both their gazes directed towards the alchemist. Catherine smirked meaningfully upon hearing the familiar name. "Oh, Mommy? How interesting." She made a direct offer. "I can heal you, but there's one condition." Catherine gave a mysterious smile, her sharp gaze fixed on her opponent, clearly holding the upper hand in this negotiation. Rendabon broke out in a cold sweat, sensing an ominous feeling after hearing Catherine's condition. What is this wretched feeling? In a lecture hall, a group of Demon Clan medical students were diligently taking notes, preparing for the lecture. Catherine, in her role as professor, stood before a blackboard covered in formulas, announcing, "Today, I will introduce an extremely rare case." She emphasized the importance of this case, advising the students to study it thoroughly, as it would be beneficial for their future careers. The Demon Clan medical students buzzed with excitement, both curious and thrilled, wondering which special patient was about to be presented. It turned out the patient was Rendabon, tied securely to a wheelchair, escorted into the room by Ao and Maya like a criminal. Rendabon cried out in protest, refusing to be turned into a test subject for a bunch of insignificant onlookers, finding it too humiliating. Ao nonchalantly replied that it was fine for a man to show a little, while Maya kindly promised to cover his face. Rendabon's face turned ashen, utterly shocked at the prospect of being made a public spectacle. While the Demon Clan medical students were still eager, Rendabon screamed in despair, preferring death over humiliation. Pushed before the crowd, Rendabon wished he could just sink into the ground, clutching his head, writhing in shame. Ao continued to tease, telling him not to cry over trivial matters and to act like a man. Rendabon was furious, straining his neck to retort. "It's easy for you to say when you're not the one being dragged out. Leave me alone." Maya coldly ordered both of them to shut up, ending their childish bickering. The demon princess turned to Catherine, bluntly demanding she fulfill her promise. I've kept my word. Now heal him. Catherine casually raised 2 fingers, brazenly reneging on the deal. Impossible. Maya froze, questioning Catherine for daring to go back on her word after humiliating Ren Daban in front of everyone. Catherine explained that to heal him, she needed a special potion, and there was only one such vial in the world. And unfortunately, that unique vial of medicine had shattered during the previous commotion. Catherine concluded with an even more repulsive offer. As an apology, I will turn you into a human anatomical model, immortalizing your name in medical history. Catherine's assistant robot, Toto, brandished several surgical knives, ready to work. Ren Daban protested loudly. What kind of apology is that? Does this mean I'll be a test subject for life? Catherine replied nonchalantly, her voice full of superiority. You are contributing to medicine. You should feel proud. Maya did not accept this. She directly asked what kind of medicine was needed, stating her faction would find it no matter what. Catherine smirked, feigning interest. I never thought the noble Princess Maya would go so far for a man, would she? Catherine raised a finger, looking mysterious. Unbelievable. Maya remained resolute, demanding to know the ingredients, asserting that it was made from mima flowers. Catherine snapped her fingers, and the robot Toto immediately displayed information about this flower. Maya took the paper, reading that the ingredient was mima flowers, an extremely rare and difficult to cultivate species. Catherine further explained that this flower only grew on the peak of Manju Mountain in the Beast Clan's territory, but knowing that was useless. Things didn't stop there. Catherine warned that the 4 clans conference was about to take place. The borders were strictly guarded, and anyone who dared approach would be executed on the spot for espionage. Catherine crossed her arms, throwing a fatal question at Ren Daban. Do you dare risk your life? Ren Daban and Maya stood side by side, both silent, clearly weighing the cost. Ren Daban snatched the paper from Maya's hand, deciding to act on his own. He turned his back and walked away decisively. Maya spoke up to stop him, asking where this madman intended to go. Ren Daban turned back, his face expressionless as he declared, Enough, I will find the mima flowers myself. Both Maya and her attendant Ao were deeply shocked by this reckless decision, with Ao exclaiming, What are you saying? Ao hastily explained to Ren Daban's hot-headedness. We also have our own problems. The princess holds a special status. Crossing the border without reason would cause trouble among the clans. She emphasized that, in the worst-case scenario, such a foolish act could ignite a war. Ren Daban brushed aside Ao's dissuasion, asserting that precisely because he understood the situation, he would handle the rest himself. He smirked, his voice full of challenge and self-mockery. You're just trying to prove your strength, aren't you? How can one rely on someone who can't even protect their own life? Ren Daban's words struck like a bolt of lightning, leaving Princess Maya utterly stunned. After a moment of stunned silence, Maya finally had to reluctantly admit, You are right. The scene shifted to a colossal city wall in the middle of the desert, which was the border of the Beast Clan. Ren Daban, now clad in a full black cloak, found himself a bit over the top. Why am I trying to act so cool here, I wonder? Observing 2 burly Beast Clan guards from afar, one a bear man and one a wolf man, he secretly plotted. But how the hell do I sneak past them now? He gritted his teeth, resolving to take a risk, as there was no turning back. If I don't get the flower, I'll die anyway. I have to do it. Ren Daban pulled his hood tightly over his face, concealing his horns, and resolutely advanced straight towards the city gate. The Wolfman guard immediately blocked his path, growling an order at the stranger. Remove your disguise. Surprisingly, the Wolfman guard lowered his weapon and allowed him to enter. Go on in. Ren Daban broke out in a cold sweat, unable to believe that the cheap beast ears he bought could fool these guards. As he walked, he secretly prayed that this clumsy act wouldn't be exposed. The Wolfman guard's gaze suddenly darted towards a passing blonde youth, specifically noticing his wiggling leopard tail. The guard suddenly reached out and snatched the suspiciously wagging tail. The blonde youth's face turned pale, and he broke into a cold sweat when discovered. The Wolfman guard narrowed his eyes, his face full of suspicion, as he sensed something was amiss. Snap! He gave a strong tug, and the fake leopard tail tore off the blonde youth's pants. The guard froze, holding the fake tail in his hand, while its owner could only stand still, enduring the utmost humiliation. The Wolfman guard ripped off the fake leopard tail, causing the blonde youth to flee in panic. His demon clan horns were revealed, and the blonde man yelled, What? Out of battery? What a piece of junk! The Wolfman guard bared his fangs, roaring with murderous intent. A demon clansman! Seize him! The blonde demon clansman hastily fabricated a story. My wife is from the Beast Clan. I just want to visit her family. Please let me pass. The guard growled, flatly refusing. Shut up. Rules are rules. I won't let you go anywhere. The demon clansman suddenly froze, sensing something amiss from behind him. He turned his head and saw a colossal dark shadow engulfing him. The Bearman guard had appeared out of nowhere, raising a fist as large as a boulder, causing the demon clansman to scream in terror. Wham! A devastating punch landed squarely on his face, sending the demon clansman's nosebleed splattering. The poor demon clansman plunged headfirst into the ground, lying motionless after a single blow. Observing from a distance, Ren Daban couldn't help but be astonished. Terrifying strength, taking down an adult demon clansman with just one blow. Ren Daban pulled down his cloak's hood, his expression becoming extremely serious. His eyes flashed with blue light, activating his target analysis ability. A system interface appeared, scanning the full stats of the two Beast Clan guards. The stat panel clearly showed. The Bear Man had 1000 strength. The Wolf Man had 1000 agility. And both were B rank. Rendabon broke into a cold sweat, muttering, "Truly the #1 combat race of the Mastro. Even gate guards are this strong?" He pulled his hood back up, deciding to slip away while they were still busy. Before they noticed me, Rendabon quietly walked past behind the Wolfman guard, trying not to make any sound. Just as he was about to slip through, a cold voice echoed from behind him. "Wait." Rendabon froze, his heart pounding. The Wolfman guard blocked Rendabon, his eyes full of murderous intent. "Where do you think you're going?" Caught by the scruff of his neck, Rendabon quickly tried to wriggle out, feigning a stomachache. "I have a terrible stomachache. I need to use the restroom." But the guard growled. "No way." The Wolfman guard pressed his nose close to Rendabon, sniffing deeply. He bared his fangs, questioning him directly. "Why do you reek of the Demon Clan?" This made Rendabon break out in a cold sweat. Rendabon forced a smile, fabricating a convincing story. Just now, a demoness clung to me, inviting me for a drink. The smell must have rubbed off. Haha." The guard narrowed his eyes, clearly not believing a single word. He pointed directly at Rendabon's face, ordering decisively, "Take off your cloak." Rendabon fell silent, cold sweat beginning to stream down his temples. The Wolfman sneered, pressing his face even closer. "Are you refusing because you have something to hide?" The Bearman guard silently approached, the pressure intensifying manifold. Rendabon gritted his teeth, knowing he couldn't slip away unnoticed anymore. "Damn it, looks like there's no escaping now." Just as the guard was about to act, another hand stopped him. Rendabon snapped his head up, his gaze sharp, ready for a fight to the death. His hand had already gripped his sword hilt, preparing for a life or death battle. A voice rang out, cutting through the tension. "Wait." A group of centaurs appeared from a distance, led by an incredibly alluring white-haired female centaur. Rendabon froze, immediately recognizing the woman. The Wolfman guard turned, his attitude completely changing. "Is it your shift today? Matira, have you come to collect supplies?" The female centaur, Matira, smiled brightly. "That's right. I heard you all really enjoy the Shell Clan's liquor, so I brought plenty." Matira cheerfully offered 2 bottles of liquor as a high-quality bribe. The Bearman guard was dumbfounded, his cheeks flushing at the unexpected gift. As soon as he saw the liquor, the Bearman drooled profusely, completely losing his composure. Without another word, he chugged it down in one gulp and roared his praise. Truly a professional drinker. The Wolfman guard irritably elbowed his comrade. "Hey, we're on duty, no drinking." But as soon as he caught a whiff of the liquor, the Wolfman himself gulped, his cheeks turning crimson. The Wolfman tried to maintain a professional demeanor, thanking Matira for her trouble in acquiring supplies for the 4 clans conference. Then he sharply turned to scold the low-ranking guards. "Hey, stop daydreaming, move the goods quickly." Matira waved her hand, acting as if it was no big deal. The centaur woman lightly nudged Rendabon, ordering, "Come on, do your work properly." The Wolfman guard immediately narrowed his eyes suspiciously, asking Matira directly if she knew the cloaked man. Matira casually replied, "That's right. There's too much cargo this time, so I hired extra help." She put her hands on her hips, beginning her act, complaining that she had paid Rendabon in advance, but he had lazily left halfway through. The Wolfman guard bared his fangs and sneered, completely convinced. So that's it. No wonder he was being so sneaky. The Wolfman pushed Rendabon towards the cart, grumbling, "Now get to work." And Ren obediently complied. Rendabon began pushing the heavy cart, completing his role as a porter. Hidden behind the cargo, he glanced back with a meaningful look, everything still under control. Matira walked past, feigning indifference, but a single glance spoke volumes. She turned back, giving a mischievous wink and sticking out her tongue, a signal that their act had been a complete success. The Wolfman guard roared, "You may pass." Completely unaware he had just let a wolf into the henhouse. Rendabon, disguised as a humble cart puller, pushed a heavily loaded cart through the Beast Clan city gate. The infiltration plan succeeded, and Rendabon and Matira moved deeper into the bustling Beast Clan city. The bustling street scene was filled with various Beast Clan members, from bearfolk to foxfolk, trading and going about their daily lives. Rendabon silently walked among the crowd, observing everything from beneath his cloak. They both stopped in front of a large building with a sign that read, Matira Merchant Guild. Matira turned to Rendabon and said, "I can only bring you this far," while the recently rescued centaur bowed in gratitude. Rendabon wondered, asking Matira directly why she had to lie to help a complete stranger like him. Matira sneered, laying her cards on the table. "You're no stranger, didn't you help me at Catherine's clinic, demon race member?" Rendabon was startled, quickly putting a finger to his lips, signaling her to speak softly. He asked in return, if she already knew he was a demon, wasn't she curious about his intentions? Matira confidently replied, "The Beast Clan's intuition is always right, and it tells me that you are not a bad person." Rendabon froze. This frank and trusting answer made him a little flustered. He thought to himself, risking his life to save a stranger turned out to be worthwhile. Having a conscience was still better. But a big question arose in his mind. Do monsters even have a concept of good and evil? His memories flooded back, showing monsters as merely savage creatures slaughtering the human world, even though they were equally intelligent. Yet, he remembered individuals like Princess Maya or the alchemist Catherine, those capable of learning, self-awareness, and even possessing superior technology. Looking at Matira, he questioned himself. Have monsters evolved, or have humans never truly understood them? Shaking off the complex thoughts, Ren Daban composed himself. His immediate goal was to find the Mima flower. He turned to Matira, his eyes serious. Actually, I had another reason for helping you, Matira declared frankly. The Beast Clan never defaults on a debt, but if we meet on the battlefield, we are enemies. Ren Daban listened in silence, without a trace of expression beneath his cloak. He smirked, completely agreeing with this frank agreement. You are right, Ren Daban stated decisively. Then let's settle our debt right here. The female centaur smiled with satisfaction at his attitude. Ren Daban turned and walked away, leaving Matira standing there, watching him with a thoughtful expression. A Beast Clan subordinate ran up to report, anxiously asking Matira if it was alright to just let that demon race member go. Matira reassured him, but also admitted that there had been many disturbances in their territory recently. She revealed shocking information. The one who accompanied him at Catherine's clinic was none other than Maya, the demon princess. Matira mumbled. Someone who can travel with the demon princess is certainly no ordinary individual. She immediately ordered her subordinate. Follow him discreetly, and report anything unusual immediately. The Beast Clan subordinate immediately shot off like an arrow, determined to complete his mission. A cat girl with a sulky expression stood with her arms crossed in front of Matira. Matira looked down at the pouting girl, unsure of what was happening. The cat girl glided past Matira with bare feet on the stone ground. At that moment, Matira suddenly froze, her eyes flashing with surprise. The female centaur was completely stunned, as if she had just seen a ghost. She quickly turned her head to look in the direction the girl had just disappeared. Matira dismissed it, trying to reassure herself that she was just hallucinating. No, it couldn't be her. A pitch-black boot stepped on the stone ground, its shadow completely different from the bare feet of the cat girl from earlier. The Beast Clan youth hid behind the wall, closely watching Ren Daban's back. He immediately accelerated, rushing like the wind along the paved road to follow his target. At a turn, he lost the trail and was bewildered. Strange? He clearly went this way. The Beast Clan youth ran headlong, determined not to let his prey escape. In an alley, Ren Daban coldly watched the shadow of his pursuer rush past. He smirked, secretly scoffing that the Beast Clan was quite clever, but unfortunately, he had no interest in beast ears. Ren Daban returned to the main issue, wondering how to get to Myriad Beasts Mountain. He stepped out of the alley, intending to ask someone for directions to save time. Crash. Ren Daban unexpectedly crashed into a small Beast Clan girl who was running at full speed. The fox girl frantically bowed deeply, her voice a flustered whisper. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Ren Daban stood frozen, staring at the girl who had just crashed into him. He suddenly blushed, stammering, unable to speak, at her appearance. Before the girl's large, round eyes and innocent expression, Ren Daban froze, with only one word in his mind. Cute. The girl's pure white fox ears and tail made him unable to look away. Ren Daban thought to himself, this girl looks exactly like a Mo character straight out of an anime. The usually cold half-demon suddenly broke out in a sweat. I can't believe there's a Beast Clan member this adorable. The fox girl apologetically apologized again for dirtying his clothes and offered to clean them for him. Ren Daban awkwardly refused while the clumsy girl rushed towards him. No, it's fine. The fox girl tripped and face-planted onto the ground, startling Ren Daban. Hey, watch out. It's not my fault, okay? The girl lay motionless on the stone ground, knocked out after the heavy fall. Ren Daban observed the fox girl lying sprawled out, thinking to himself that she didn't seem to be faking it. He sat down and asked if she was injured anywhere. The fox girl was still face down on the ground, her stomach rumbling loudly. Lifting her face, she weakly replied, No, I'm just hungry. Ren Daban was speechless, his face flushing slightly at this awkward situation. As a result, he had to take her to an eatery that served steaming meat buns. Ren Daban mused about the law of the jungle among the Beast Clan, where the weak, like the elderly and children, were often robbed of food and suffered from hunger. But no matter how hungry she was, the fox girl's appetite far exceeded his imagination, clearing a towering stack of plates. After eating, she shyly covered her mouth, seeming completely full. The fox girl sighed contentedly, rubbing her full belly. Suddenly, she realized she had eaten too much, and her expression turned panicked. She hesitantly asked if she had eaten too much, and apologized profusely for making Ren Daban spend money. Ren Daban broke out in a cold sweat, quickly waving his hand to reassure her. It's fine, you're at a growing age. Regaining his composure, he asked directly, Where is your family? Why is a child wandering alone? The fox girl looked up and honestly confessed, I ran away from home. Ren Daban frowned, looking puzzled. She began to recount that she was considered useless from birth because she was a girl. Her body was weak, and she was scolded, beaten, and starved daily. After her younger brother was born, she was even more alienated, forced to do all the housework, and even her younger brother didn't consider her family. The girl recounted with teary eyes. Yesterday I collapsed from exhaustion, and when father returned, I knew only punishment awaited me. With tears welling up, she said in fear, I was so scared that I ran away. Ren Daban gritted his teeth, unable to believe there were still such old-fashioned, misogynistic families. Unforgivable. After eating her fill, the fox girl cheerfully asked, By the way, I still don't know your name. Ren Daban smiled faintly, making up a temporary name. My name is Bon, he asked in return, Just call me Bon. And you? She cheerfully replied simply, Pooh. Ren Dabon froze, the unbearably lame name making him hesitantly ask again. Pooh? He muttered curses to himself, thinking her parents must have been desperate to give her such a ridiculous name. What terrible parents. Pooh bowed her head in thanks. Bon, thank you for the meal. You're too kind. How can I repay you? Ren Dabon waved his hand, acting like a big shot. No need to repay me. Suddenly remembering his main objective, an idea struck him. He got straight to the point. Oh, right. Do you know the way to Banju Mountain? Pooh repeated the name blankly. Banju Mountain? She immediately warned. That's the hyena's den. It's very dangerous. Pooh explained about the hyenas, a pack of brutal and cunning monsters who had no team spirit and only waited to stab each other in the back. She emphasized their savagery. But the worst part is that they even eat their own newborns. Pooh concluded. That's why everyone drove them all into Banju Mountain. Why do you want to go there? Ren Dabon replied thoughtfully. I'm looking for something. It seems it can only be found on Banju Mountain. Hearing that, Pooh's eyes suddenly lit up. If it's a Mimamoru flower, my family has one. Ren Dabon was utterly surprised, while Pooh confirmed, yes, my father picked it a while ago. He probably isn't home yet. I can go get it. With that said, she jumped off her seat, her bare feet landing softly, ready to go. Pooh cheerfully waved goodbye to Ren Dabon, promising to return immediately. Wait here, I'll be right back. Ren Dabon smirked, thinking to himself that today was truly a lucky day, as everything just fell into place automatically. He casually put his hands behind his head, calculating that if things continued this smoothly, he could be home before dark. Time flew by quickly, and dusk had fallen outside the window. Ren Dabon began to get impatient, muttering with his chin in his hand. Why isn't she here yet? She said, Shed, be right back. Crash! A massive club slammed onto the table right in front of him, making Ren Dabon jump, and a voice roared. How long are you going to sit here? A burly pigman shopkeeper glared at him and growled. It's been half a day. You haven't ordered anything and you're just sitting here. Ren Dabon quickly waved his hand to explain. No, I'm waiting for my friend to come back for her luggage. The shopkeeper didn't listen, pointed directly at his face and roared that he was taking up space. So Ren Dabon immediately offered, Then I'll pay for the seat. The pigman smirked challengingly. Oh really? Then pay up. Ren Dabon reached into his cloak pocket for money. He froze, breaking out in a cold sweat, as he realized a harsh truth. I don't have any money. The shopkeeper narrowed his eyes, and killing intent began to emanate from him. You're not trying to say you don't have money, are you? The entire group of Beast Clan thugs, including a deer man, a rhino man, and a bull man, all stood up and surrounded Ren Dabon's table. Ren Dabon forced a smile, trying to buy time while his mind raced. I'm screwed. If I fight here, my demon identity will be exposed. I have to get out of here. The shopkeeper lost all patience, roaring, Are you mocking me? Then swung his club, smashing the table into pieces. It seems you're tired of living. The thugs behind him roared excitedly, ready to gang up on him. Suddenly, a furry arm grabbed Ren Dabon tightly from behind. Pooh had returned with a burly bearman. The bearman easily restrained Ren Dabon, causing Pooh's luggage to fall to the floor, and a blue-covered book flew out. Ren Dabon's eyes widened as he read the book's title, Next Life, I Will Never Be Exploited, and the summary about the protagonist named Pooh, who took revenge on her entire family after reincarnation. Ren Dabon froze, his mind racing. Wait a minute. He recalled telling Pooh to stay put. Remembering giving the money pouch to the girl, Ren Dabon bitterly realized, I've been tricked. In his recollection, Pooh held the money pouch with a triumphant expression. The cunning fox girl sneered and left. Ha! You can wait there until the cows come home, you fool. And just like that, she vanished without a trace, leaving Ren Dabon to wait in vain. Meanwhile, the book's content unfolded. A Beast Clan boy named Pooh was forced into servitude, from carrying loads and washing dishes to cleaning the house. The pigman innkeeper in the story roared, What are you doing? Moving like a snail. Do you want a beating? The boy Pooh, frightened, quickly replied, Yes, I'll do it right away. He hastily carried a bucket of dirty water and accidentally tripped right in front of the innkeeper. Splash! The entire bucket of dirty water splashed directly onto the pigman innkeeper. The pigman innkeeper fell silent, his murderous aura erupting like a volcano. He grabbed the boy Pooh by the collar, roaring, You bastard, you did that on purpose, didn't you? While the boy frantically denied it, the innkeeper leaned in close, growling, You think an apology will settle your debt? Don't mess with me. If the floor is slippery, then lick it clean, the pigman innkeeper roared, preparing to shove the boy's head to the floor. The boy Pooh was forced to the ground, his face pale with terror. But then, a murderous glint flashed in his eyes as he cursed inwardly. You damn pig, I'll turn you into a meat bun. Back in reality, Ren Dabon broke out in a cold sweat, recalling Maya's warning, Never provoke the Beast Clan, and it's even worse if your demon identity is revealed. He gritted his teeth, telling himself he had to endure it at all costs. Damn it, just endure it. The real-life pigman innkeeper, seeing Ren Dabon's expression, snapped. What's with that attitude? In the book, the pigman innkeeper kicked the boy Pooh, yelling, Hurry up and work, while the boy could only nod obediently. Back in reality, Ren Dabon's face darkened, silently confronting the pigman innkeeper who stood with crossed arms, staring at him defiantly. The scene shifted. Matira was alarmed upon hearing the news. What? The young lady is missing? Her catgirl subordinate handed her a piece of paper. See for yourself. Matira was speechless as she read the childish farewell letter. Goodbye. I'm never coming back. You fools. Accompanying the message was a provocative drawing of a demon face, further irritating Matira. The subordinate reported that search parties had been sent out but to no avail, and if the young lady had passed the checkpoint, the guards would have detected her. Matira pondered deeply, not understanding why the girl had run away at this particular moment. She suddenly recalled a moment when a strange cat girl had brushed past her earlier, muttering, "Wait, could it have been just now?" The image of the sulking cat girl flashed through Matira's mind, a crucial clue having just emerged. Matira's expression turned sharp as she ordered her subordinates. "I think I know where she is. Call the two people from the checkpoint here. We'll go search together." She instructed them to keep the young lady's escape an absolute secret, for her safety, and because other clans were present here. Returning to Rendabon, he dragged himself through an alley, groaning, "So tired, my whole body aches." He gritted his teeth, blaming the fox girl who had tricked him. "Next time we meet, you'll pay." Rendabon listened to Pooh's story, thinking to himself how unfortunate it was for a child to have such parents. He imagined the girl being sold to an old man just to get money for her brother's wedding, feeling it was truly cruel. Pooh tearfully recounted, "That old man, older than my own father, groped me all over and forced me to bear his children." The girl continued her act, her eyes welling up. "I was so scared." Suddenly, her pitiful expression vanished. Pooh's eyes widened, and she growled upon seeing her target. "You bastard, I finally found you." Rendabon, who was walking, suddenly stopped, bewildered to find himself blocked by Pooh and two burly wolfmen. The fox girl Pooh dramatically turned the tables, pointing directly at Rendabon and wailing to the two wolfmen. "Help! This is the old man who forced me to bear his children. He's here to take me back." Rendabon's eyes blazed with fury. He pointed at his own face and roared, "I'm this young and handsome, and you call me an old man?" He hastily explained to the wolfmen, accusing the fox girl of being a professional swindler, fabricating stories straight out of novels. The darker-furred wolfman smirked, delivering a fatal blow. "To a child, you certainly look like an old man." Rendabon was speechless, realizing he had just been dealt an undeniable, painful jab. Annoyed, Rendabon ignored logic, extending his hand to demand his money back. "That's not important. Give me back my money." No sooner had he finished speaking than a clawed wolf hand seized his wrist, its grip terrifyingly strong. Pinned down by one wolfman, Rendabon growled, "What are you doing?" but only received the cold command, "Grab him." The other wolfman turned to comfort Pooh, promising to protect her and take her to safety. From Rendabon's perspective, he could only helplessly watch the wolfman lead the fox girl away, while he himself was restrained. Pooh looked back, sticking out her tongue to taunt Rendabon defiantly. Truly, a little imp. Rendabon struggled in vain, his strength clearly no match for the two muscular wolfmen. He yelled in frustration as the figures of the two vanished. "Wait, don't run." The alley was deserted, leaving only Rendabon abandoned after the trick of the century. The wolfman led Pooh into another alley, believing he had just done a good deed. Pooh feigned innocence, thanking the wolfman for saving her, saying that if she were caught, things would be terrible. Suddenly, the girl clutched her head and cried out, appearing to be in pain. The wolfman asked worriedly, and Pooh immediately clutched her stomach, complaining that she had been hungry for too long. As soon as the wolfman let his guard down, Pooh's weak expression vanished, replaced by a chillingly sinister smile. The fox girl's face was shrouded in shadow, her eyes narrowed with malice. She had found her next prey. Suddenly, a rough hand seized Pooh's wrist, blocking her path. The scarred wolfman growled, exposing Pooh's clumsy act. "That amateur performance might fool that idiot, but it won't get past me." Pooh glared at him, her face cold, without a hint of fear. The fox girl played innocent again, blinking her eyes. "What are you saying? I don't understand." The wolfman didn't bother arguing, propositioning her bluntly. "It doesn't matter. If your parents don't want you, then come with me." As soon as he finished speaking, Pooh twisted her body and arm, neatly escaping his grasp. Not giving her opponent a chance to recover, she delivered a kick straight to the wolfman's stomach. Seizing the opening, Pooh immediately accelerated, leaving the wolfman behind. The wolfman wasn't angry at all. Instead, he smirked devilishly. "Rip!" The wolfman mask was torn off, revealing the face of a cunning hyena underneath. The hyena leader grumbled. "I only used this face once, and now I have to prepare a new one." Pooh growled, taking a stance ready for combat. Two more hyenas appeared, and the fox girl muttered, "Hey hey, so I've been discovered?" The wolfman, who had been tricked earlier, ran over, completely shocked to see the hyenas. "You should have been driven into Banju Mountain by now, shouldn't you? Why are you here?" The leader sneered, revealing, "You can thank your boss for that. All the border guards are out on patrol, so we snuck in easily." The two hyena thugs drooled, lustfully. "It's been a long time since we've had fresh meat, hasn't it? Tonight, we feast." The hungry hyenas charged forward, intending to tear their prey apart. But Pooh was even faster. She deftly dodged, pushing off the wall to gain momentum and leap high. She moved like a phantom, continuously bouncing between two walls to reach the rooftop. Thud. Pooh landed lightly on the roof, her final kick dislodging several tiles, leaving the bewildered hyenas below. The hyenas clutched their heads, screaming miserably, as they were showered with tiles falling from above. The two hyena thugs bared their fangs and snarled, furious at being outsmarted by a mere kid. Standing on the rooftop, Pooh crossed her arms defiantly. "Ha! You think you can catch me? Come and try if you dare." The fox girl smirked, then took a stance, ready to sprint, preparing for a chase. The hyena leader furiously smashed a tile, surprised that his prey was so nimble. All three hyenas froze, speechless as they watched their prey vanish right before their eyes. A thug admitted, "Damn it, that kid is really something," while the leader also grumbled. "We underestimated her," the leader growled, declaring confidently. "But if she thinks that's enough to escape, she's too naive." A hyena's strength lies in its sense of smell. He took a deep breath, sniffing out Pooh's lingering scent in the air. Having locked onto the target, the leader let out a roar and led the pack forward. This way. Meanwhile, on another street corner, the Bearman and Wolfman guards were patrolling, completely unaware of what was happening. Matira, the female centaur, was leading a catgirl subordinate and a group of guards, all rushing to find someone. Matira anxiously asked the Wolfman guard, "Have you found the girl yet?" The Wolfman bowed his head, replying curtly and disappointedly, "Not yet." Pooh was running headlong through a deserted alley, her breathing already somewhat ragged. Suddenly, she froze, her face pale as if she had seen a ghost, a thunderclap striking her ears. Pooh hid behind the corner, horrified to see the search party standing in the square ahead. She muttered in a panic, "Matira, why is she with them?" Pooh gritted her teeth, her eyes flashing with complexity. Father must have trained her to become so strong. She bit her fingernails, her mind in turmoil, wondering whether to inform Matira about the presence of the hyenas. Pooh stomped her foot in annoyance, telling herself she would never follow Matira. The fox girl had an idea, a cunning glint appearing in her eyes. While Ren Daban was stealthily sneaking away, Pooh quietly observed him from behind. The fox girl's face clearly showed her cunning, as she chuckled to herself, full of calculation. Ren Daban tiptoed along the wall, trying not to make a sound. He spun around, annoyed at losing track of the girl. Where did she go? Ren Daban sensed someone right behind him, and he growled, "Are you looking down on me?" Pooh suddenly appeared right behind him, waving at the stunned, cloaked figure. Ren Daban grabbed her hand, growling, "You've got some nerve, picking a fight on the very day. I'm annoyed. Do you think I wouldn't dare hit a kid?" Pooh calmly made an offer. "You want to go to Banju Mountain, right? I'll lead you there." She raised a finger, setting a condition, while Ren Daban shot her a contemptuous look. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Ren Daban yelled, losing all patience. "I don't believe a word you say. If you don't want a beating, pay up now." Pooh suddenly took Ren Daban's hand, breathed into it, and whispered with a dangerous expression, "You're a demon, aren't you?" Ren Daban broke out in a cold sweat, his face changing color at being exposed. "How did you know?" He hastily denied it, grabbing the fake tail behind his back. "Wrong. I'm not a demon. Look, demons don't have tails." Pooh didn't say much, gently snatching the fake tail off Ren Daban. The fox girl held up her trophy, laughing gleefully and threatening. "What do you think will happen if I scream right now?" Ren Daban was speechless, watching the triumphant fox girl walk away with his tail, while in the distance, a wolfman was on patrol. He furiously tried to snatch the tail back but couldn't. "Give it back." Completely cornered, Ren Daban relented, asking with a bitter expression, "How did you find out?" Pooh called out Ren Daban, directly telling him, "If you were truly from the Beast Clan, you would know the way to Banju Mountain. The fact that you have to ask proves you're a fake." The fox girl held up two fingers, smirking slyly as she declared, "Now you have no choice but to obey me." Ren Daban was rendered speechless, his face darkening with frustration, unable to retort. On the street, a cat girl in revealing combat attire walked with confidence. Ren Daban trudged along, his arm naturally grabbed by the cat girl, as if he were being escorted. Ren Daban gritted his teeth, muttering to himself that he couldn't believe he was being led by the nose by a mere kid like this. Meanwhile, Pooh was curled up in Ren Daban's cloak, chuckling cunningly with delight. The two of them arrived at a desolate, arid canyon, with jagged rock pillars. Ren Daban looked at the scene before him and confirmed, "So this is Banju Mountain?" Pooh put her hands on her hips, looking smug as she said, "See? I didn't lie, did I?" Ren Daban reluctantly accepted. "All right. For now, I'll believe you." He turned his back and walked alone deeper into the canyon, leaving the fox girl behind. Ren Daban continued to advance between the sheer rock faces, looking solitary and determined. Suddenly, he sensed something and stopped short. "Huh?" He spun around, his sharp gaze fixed on what was behind him. Pooh was standing there, having silently followed him without him noticing. Ren Daban discovered the girl was tailing him, bewildered and not understanding what was happening. He snapped irritably, "Stop following me." Pooh smiled provocatively, gently reminding him, "Your money is still with me, you know." "Are you sure about that?" Ren Daban held out his hand and asked if she would return it, but the fox girl nonchalantly replied curtly, "Of course not." Ren Daban sighed, muttering with a resigned expression, "I knew it," he growled, as if bestowing the money upon Pooh for guiding him, and warned the girl never to loiter around him again, or she would face his wrath. Having finished speaking, he turned his back and walked away decisively, leaving the fox girl behind. Watching his back recede, Pooh merely smirked cunningly. The brazen fox girl still followed, pestering him by asking why he wanted to find the useless Mima flower, but Ren Daban merely brushed her off. "None of your business." Ren Daban looked up at the towering peak, thinking to himself that Catherine said the Mima flower was up there, but he didn't know how long it would take to climb. Suddenly, he discovered his target right nearby. There's one right here. It turned out Pooh was sitting proudly beside a red flower growing near a rock, which stunned Ren Daban. He slowly approached the girl and the strange flower. He stared intently at the strangely shaped red flower, wondering, is this the Mima flower? Ren Daban turned to question Pooh with a suspicious expression. You're not tricking me, are you? Pooh nonchalantly replied. Believe it or not, it's up to you. If you don't take it, I will. Then reached out to pick the flower. Quick as lightning, Ren Daban grabbed her wrist, preventing her from touching the flower. He snapped, admitting he needed it, while Pooh flashed a triumphant smile, having successfully set her trap. He pulled out a drawing to compare and realized the actual flower looked slightly different. Something felt off. Despite some doubt, he still knelt down, carefully reaching his hand towards the flower. Behind him, Pooh flashed a sinister smile, signaling that a trap was about to spring. Suddenly, Pooh delivered a vicious kick to the flank of the unsuspecting Ren Daban. The sudden kick made him lose his balance, sending him flying in astonishment. The force sent his face plunging directly into the Mima flower, which seemed to be emitting strange energy. Ren Daban lay sprawled, his face planted directly into the ground right next to the flower after the fox girl's vicious kick. Unexpectedly, the harmless flower transformed into a gigantic carnivorous monster, its roots extending like tentacles. Ren Daban only had time to look up in horror as the monster flower's tooth-filled maw lunged down to devour him. The scene shifts to a place with a sign for Catherine's clinic. Inside, Maya and Ao were busily cleaning up the rubble, with the assistant robot Toto beside them. Robot Toto bossily directed. The cracks are too bad, we have to rebuild. Hurry up, or we won't be able to open tomorrow. Ao, annoyed, shrieked shrilly. Shut up! She flung the trowel directly at the robot, yelling, if you're not helping, don't nag. Ao continued to grumble, blaming the Wing Clan entirely for the destruction and resentful about why she had to clean up. Catherine appeared with a superior expression, sarcastically saying, if you hadn't provoked the Wing Clan, nothing would have happened. And yet you say it's not your business? Having been called out, both Ao and Maya were speechless, unable to argue back a single word. Maya immediately changed the subject, asking, how is Shura? Has he gotten the Mima flower yet? Catherine smirked meaningfully. Ah, right. I forgot to tell him something, Maya asked bewilderedly. What did you forget to tell him? Catherine casually revealed the deadly trap. On Banju Mountain, there's a type of flower called the Sayo flower that looks exactly like the Mima flower. I hope he doesn't get confused. Returning to Ren Daban, he woke up in a dark, slimy space and realized he couldn't move. He frantically struggled in the sticky liquid, trying to escape the fleshy trap enveloping him. The fleshy walls squeezed tightly around Ren Daban, causing him excruciating pain. His hood slipped off, revealing his face screaming in despair as he was swallowed by the monster flower. Ren Daban's eyes widened, shining with horror as he realized he had been terribly tricked. Ren Daban was swallowed by the carnivorous flower, only his head sticking out and screaming, while the fox girl Pooh stood below, covering her mouth and trying to suppress her laughter. Pooh couldn't hold it in anymore, bursting into laughter and taunting. Ha ha ha, you look like a steamed bun. Despite Ren Daban screaming at her to stop laughing, the fox girl nonchalantly admitted her mistake, casually announcing, this isn't a Mima flower. It's a Sayo flower. Stuck fast among the petals, Ren Daban, stunned, repeated, a Sayo flower? He screamed to be let out, but Pooh coldly explained that once a Sayo flower caught its prey, it wouldn't easily let go. Pooh smirked meaningfully, looking mysterious, but it's not like there's no way to escape. Ren Daban impatiently urged her, but the fox girl leisurely stalled for time. With a cunning expression, Pooh ambiguously licked her lips and said, you'll find out soon enough. Crimson tendrils from inside the flower began to slither out, wrapping around Ren Daban's body. The tendrils continued snaking, tightly coiling around his lower body. Ren Daban's face suddenly flushed. He gritted his teeth and stammered in extreme confusion. This is, he screamed in panic as he realized the flower was doing something unbelievable to his body. Scene change. Maya and Ao were questioning Catherine about the strange flower, worried about what would happen if Ren Daban picked the wrong one. Catherine casually explained, sitting cross-legged, that the Sayo flower looked exactly like the Mima flower, but their effects were completely opposite. Catherine explained that the Mima flower had a detoxifying effect, capable of neutralizing mommy's poison. In contrast, the Sayo flower was a stimulant. It absorbed hormones produced when men are aroused to strengthen itself. The alchemist concluded with a deadly smile. If he accidentally touches it, he'll be completely drained dry in one night. Both Maya and Ao's jaws dropped. They were so shocked they were speechless. Maya angrily demanded why she hadn't mentioned this crucial detail sooner, but Catherine merely shrugged and replied nonchalantly, I already told him to go to the mountaintop, didn't I? Catherine nonchalantly explained. The Mima flower grows in high places, facing the sun. The Sayo flower, conversely, blooms at the foot of the mountain. She shrugged, blaming the victim entirely. If he had listened to me, nothing would have happened. But if he was lazy, that's his fault. Princess Maya and attendant Ao were left frozen and speechless by the alchemist's cunningness. Stuck in the flower, Ren Daban finally understood. His face darkened as he realized he had fallen into a trap. The fox Pooh appeared out of nowhere, feigning knowledge. Once it has absorbed all the nutrients, it will release you. Ren Daban screamed in panic. By then, I'll be a dried up corpse. What kind of perverted flower is this? The carnivorous flower began to twitch and tighten further, preparing for the main course. Rendabon shrieked as he felt strange movements inside the flower. The tendrils began snaking into places they shouldn't be on the young man's body. Rendabon's face flushed crimson. He gritted his teeth as a bolt of pleasure shot down his spine. He gritted his teeth, enduring, his voice trembling as he pleaded. No, not there. A steam train whistled loudly, speeding through Rendabon's mind. Immediately after, a tsunami crashed down, sweeping away his last vestiges of resistance. The deed was done. Rendabon sighed in relief, his face looking dazed as he announced, "It's all sucked out." Pooh looked at Rendabon's pathetic state and delivered a fatal sarcastic remark. "You seem to be enjoying yourself." Pooh showed disdain, waved her hand dismissively, and turned her back, intending to leave. Rendabon screamed in despair, demanding the fox save his life since he had just saved her earlier. But Pooh continued to walk away nonchalantly. Seeing her prey was miserable enough, Pooh turned back with a cunning smile, laying down conditions reeking of possessiveness. "I'll help, but in return, you must become my servant." She sealed the deal with an outrageous demand. "You must obey all my commands, without questioning anything." Rendabon, despite being tightly squeezed by the flower, defiantly declared, "No way. As a man, I'd never lose to a little girl." Before he could finish, the flower squeezed harder, making Rendabon shriek. "Ah! Stop it right now." Pooh glanced back with disdain, sneering. "A man, you say? Let's see how long you can last." With that, Pooh turned her back and walked away cruelly, ignoring Rendabon's desperate cries. Scene change. At an ancient building under the cover of night, an investigation was underway. Looking down from above, a group of beastkin were examining the scene, littered with debris. Two large wolfmen were bending down to sniff, searching for traces. One wolfman growled, reporting, "The young lady's scent is still here," along with the scent of a hyena. Matira, the female centaur, wondered why hyenas had gotten in when they had already been cleared out, suggesting security had been lax. The cat girl subordinate determined that a battle had taken place here, and was concerned that Pooh might have been captured by the hyenas. Matira gave a decisive order, without a moment's hesitation. "We're heading to Mount Banju." In a hazy memory space, a pink-haired girl shyly told her lover, "This is my first time. Please be gentle." The brown-haired young man hesitantly asked if she was okay since they weren't married yet, but the girl asserted that she already considered them husband and wife. The two shared a passionate kiss, beginning a night of intimacy. The pink-haired girl actively untied her dress straps. The atmosphere became hotter than ever. The passionate lovemaking scene unfolded in a romantic setting. Suddenly, a black-gloved hand grabbed the young man's hair, shattering the rosy dream. The young man woke up with a start, drenched in sweat, and froze when he saw Demon Princess Maya right behind him, radiating intense killing intent. Maya squeezed him tightly, roaring furiously, "You scoundrel! You have a fiancé, and you dare to cheat?" While the young man could only call her name in terror, the pink-haired girl in the dream argued defiantly, "Your fiancé is dead. Now you are my husband." Demon Princess Maya's face flushed crimson as she proposed an unbelievable deal. "Hess mine anyway. Or how about we split him, half for each of us?" Squeezed tightly between the two beauties, Rendabon listened as the pink-haired girl nonchalantly said, "If Bon agrees, I don't mind adding one more person." While Maya concluded, "There are two of us. One share each is fair, isn't it?" Rendabon's face lit up with joy, and he stammered, asking as if he couldn't believe his ears, "Is that really true?" The rosy dream began as he got intimate with the pink-haired girl. Immediately after, Demon Clan Princess Maya also joined in, pressing close to his toned physique. Rendabon blissfully enjoyed himself, thinking, "Is this heaven? What kind of bizarre place is this?" The Demon Clan Princess's hand glided over his six-pack abs, and the atmosphere was scorching hot. Suddenly, a third person appeared. Magenta-haired mommy with a pair of demon horns, hugging Rendabon tightly from behind. Rendabon snapped out of his daze, drenched in sweat, and screamed in horror, "Mommy!" He tried to push mommy away, yelling, "What in the world are you trying to do?" Mommy shushed him, saying in a suggestive tone, "I'm not here to ruin the fun. I'm here to join." The dream scene replayed, and Maya and the pink-haired girl protested in unison. "No way. Bon belongs to us. There's no room for you to interfere." Mommy smirked, revealing her perverse philosophy. "Men are just like rice fields, if you know how to cultivate them." The purple snake in Mommy's hand bared its fangs, and she continued, "Then they can produce endlessly." With a whoosh, the snake lunged and bit into Rendabon's neck, making him shriek. Rendabon gritted his teeth, his face flushing red from a strange sensation rising from below. A school of giant fish suddenly appeared in his mind, and the young man yelled, "I can't hold it in anymore." The entire school of fish leaped out of the water, and he cried out unconsciously, "It's spilling out." In the dream, the pink-haired girl let out a shy cry. Demon Clan Princess Maya commented with an emotionless face, "That's a lot, indeed." Mommy, however, seemed much more excited, sticking out her tongue. So much, Rendabon leaned back, his body convulsing in his illusory trance. He exhaled sharply, feeling utterly exhausted. "I'm completely drained." The three succubi leaned down to look at him, and Mommy smirked. "Wrong. Men have no limits." Entangled by shadow tentacles, Rendabon yelled in despair, "Stop. Stop it." Bang! Rendabon snapped awake, his eyes wide with horror. He sat alone on the hillside under the starry sky, panting and asking himself, was that a dream? Rendabon muttered, his face clouded with bitterness. I must have passed out. Damn that perverse flower. He clutched his head and yelled in humiliation. I haven't even held a girl's hand in 23 years. After a moment of self-pity, Rendabon sat up straight, his eyes growing vigilant. He spun around abruptly, yelling, who's there? A pair of fair, bare feet gently walked on the ground. Pooh, the fox girl, flashed a cunning, meaningful smile. Rendabon looked up at the stranger, growling. You're still here? Who the hell are you? He smirked contemptuously. Trying to scavenge from a corpse? Too bad for you, I'm still alive. Pooh crossed her arms, pouting as she retorted. That's not it. I'm not such a lowlife. She seemed irritated, kicking a pebble away to vent her anger. Pooh muttered to herself. Is there nowhere left to go? She explained that her father and the others were busy in a meeting, so they probably hadn't read her runaway note yet. Pooh burst out, yelling, even if I go back, I'll still be alone. I don't want to go back. Rendabon smirked mockingly. Making up stories again? This time playing the role of a pitiful child unloved by her parents, I suppose? The fox girl retorted defiantly. It's true. In a flashback, Pooh recounted the scene of her mother dying after a difficult childbirth, surrounded by grieving Beast Clan members. She continued the sad story. My father loved me very much, but he was always busy from morning till night. Pooh recalled the scene of her eye-patched father constantly having to leave for work, leaving her alone in the city. Little Pooh stood forlornly watching another happy Beast Clan family together, wondering why she was the only one lonely. The memory of another Beast Clan father happily tossing his son into the air resurfaced. Little Pooh looked both adorable and pitiful, wandering all by herself in the world. To alleviate her loneliness, she buried herself in novels and imagined herself as the protagonist to find joy. Back in reality, Pooh's face grew gloomy as she spoke. But, she yelled in despair, I just want to be with my father, that's all I want. Pooh's words seemed to touch Rendabon's pain, making him freeze when he heard it. He suddenly clutched his chest, gritting his teeth, enduring a pang of pain or a memory flooding back. Pooh unexpectedly rushed forward and hugged Rendabon tightly from behind. Rendabon cried out in pain from being touched, while Pooh suddenly pushed him away and snapped. Talking to a cruel demon like you is truly useless. The fox girl blushed, yelling in his face. You don't understand how I feel. Rendabon snapped back, saying his father was exactly the same, only getting to see him once a year, exactly on his birthday. He growled, asserting that he understood loneliness better than anyone else in this world. Pooh fell backward onto the ground, asking again skeptically, and Rendabon coldly confirmed with a single word, true. The little fox girl squinted at him and delivered a blunt remark. You don't look that pathetic though. Pooh cunningly admitted that knowing someone else was suffering more than her made her feel better, leaving Rendabon speechless with this kid. She probed the issue. Haven't you ever been angry with your father? Rendabon looked up at the star-filled night sky, his expression complex, leaving the answer hanging. Memories flooded back, the sound of party poppers exploding at a cozy birthday party. His mother and childhood friends simultaneously wished young Bon a happy birthday. The gentle pink-haired mother handed her son a gift box, saying it was from both his father and her. Inside the box was a neatly folded hero uniform. Young Bon was overjoyed, exclaiming, wow, it's a hero uniform. His friends gathered around, each openly envious of Bon's luck, as they had asked for one countless times without success. Bon happily hugged his mother, profusely thanking her. His mother smiled, telling them all to play while she went to cut some fruit, and then they would have dinner. Bon turned to boast to a friend that he would meet the captain today. Young Bon puffed out his chest proudly, asserting confidently, of course, Dad promised me. All his friends erupted in excitement, clamoring for autographs and photos with their idol. Bon confidently thumped his chest, declaring he would handle it, making everyone cheer in response. Tick-tock. Time passed, and the wait began to grow tense. One of Bon's friends impatiently checked the clock, which read 6 o'clock. The captain still isn't back. The blonde kid wearing a cap began to taunt. I knew it. You're lying that your dad is the captain. That photo is probably photoshopped too. Bon strained his neck to argue back, asserting confidently, it's true, my dad is the captain. The blonde kid still didn't believe him, and Bon could only remain silent, clenching his fists with determination. Bon smirked, reading his opponent. So that's it. You're just jealous. So you're trying to act superior, aren't you? The blonde kid fumed, yelling, what? As if I'd be jealous of you. Bon launched a fierce counterattack, bringing up old stories to mock him. Last time there was an earthquake, your dad thought monsters were coming, and he was so scared he jumped up in a panic. Bon delivered another fatal blow. The whole school saw him being taken away by an ambulance, having wet his pants. The blonde kid was so furious his cheeks puffed out, unable to retort a single word. The other friends watched the amusing drama, trying to suppress their laughter at the flawless exposé. Cornered, the blonde kid changed his attack. Well, that's still better than your dad. We only ever see your mom. Your dad hasn't shown up even once. Bon puffed out his chest, defending his family's honor. My dad is busy fighting monsters and saving people every day. The blonde kid sneered, looking unconvinced. Yeah, if that's true. Anyway, you'll just make another excuse about him having an urgent mission. Bon pointed directly at his opponent, declaring firmly, my dad has never broken a promise. You'll regret it when the truth is revealed. The blonde kid pointed at the hero uniform, proposing a bet. Then let's bet that uniform. Bon immediately accepted the bet. Deal. If I win, you have to play the monster and fight me. I'll make you apologize. The two children sealed their bet with a promise, ready for a battle of honor. The scene shifted to a man in a stylish suit, likely Ren Haneda, striding decisively down a long, modern corridor. Ren Haneda, the heroic father, mused. Making a cake for the first time feels quite strange. He carried a birthday cake adorned with a drawing of a very happy family of 3, clearly homemade. He smirked confidently. Oh well, as long as it tastes good, it doesn't matter. Standing before the apartment door, cake in hand, he prepared for the family reunion. Ren Haneda smiled, thinking to himself, I wonder if Bon has grown a little bigger. He carefully placed the cake box down, preparing for his plan. A mischievous thought flashed through the father's mind. I'll hide, and scare him a bit. He gleefully reached out to open the door, his face full of anticipation. Suddenly, the phone in his jacket pocket vibrated violently, signaling ill tidings. Ren Haneda's smile vanished, his eyes sharpening instantly. He put the phone to his ear, his voice cold and professional. Yes, this is me. He listened in silence, his expression growing sterner, the fun clearly over. His shoulders slumped. The damned call had ruined everything. Inside the house, Bon's mother was on the phone, her face panicked. Huh? An urgent mission? Does it have to be you? Her face was filled with disappointment and worry, knowing that the promise to her son was about to be broken. Ren Haneda, now in his battle armor, stood towering before his wife, ready to rush to the battlefield. She sighed, accepting the harsh reality. Well, it's your job. Be careful. Bon and I will wait for you to come home. Meanwhile, little Bon, in his hero costume, raised his toy sword and shouted, Justice will prevail. Victory lies in the hands of humanity. Another kid was sitting, watching TV, his eyes shining brightly as he cheered for the heroes on screen. Go, heroes. The blonde kid crossed his arms, a disdainful look on his face, clearly taunting. His mother called Bon, and the boy startled, turning around, still in his hero costume. His mother began to explain awkwardly. You see, your father. Bon froze, sensing something was wrong. Time passed, and the birthday cake still lay abandoned on the table. Bon had changed his clothes, huddled in a corner while his mother tried to comfort him, explaining that his father had an urgent mission and no other choice. His mother pointed to the cake, saying his father had made it for him, and promised they would eat it together when he was done. But Bon remained sullen and refused to respond. His anger boiling over, Bon screamed, no, and knocked the cake box flying. He yelled at his mother, resentful that he couldn't even see his father on his birthday, questioning why adults always made empty promises. With tears welling up in his eyes, he yelled, My friends even call me a liar. I hate you, Dad. With that, Bon turned his back and ran straight into his room, leaving his mother frantically calling after him. Slam. The door slammed shut, and his mother could only sigh helplessly. Bon rushed straight into his room and then jumped onto his bed. He buried his face in his pillow, screaming in anger. Liar. A super big, giant liar. I don't care about Dad anymore. The boy was still sulking when breaking news interrupted the TV program. He looked up. The news reported that the International Commercial Building had been attacked by a monstro, but fortunately, the heroes had evacuated everyone in time. The female reporter continued to report, stating that some threats had not yet been eliminated and advised citizens to stay indoors. Bon froze, his mind racing. Monstro attack? Emergency mission? He rushed to the window, his eyes shining with hope and worry, calling out loudly. Dad. In the middle of the night street, a boy dressed as a hero was brandishing a plastic sword in front of his two friends. The blonde rival boy sneered, exposing Bon as a liar, saying his dad wasn't even a hero captain. His two friends chimed in, claiming it was a waste of time to play with a liar, while the blonde boy threatened to expose Bon and get him ostracized. Suddenly, all three children froze as an ominous feeling washed over them. A police officer was blocking the road, preventing civilians from entering the dangerous area. The two boys ran over to ask, and the officer informed them there was a monstro attack ahead, and the heroes were handling it. Hearing about the heroes, their eyes lit up, hoping to witness the captain fight firsthand. They started whining, demanding the officer let them pass to get autographs, and promising not to get in the way. Meanwhile, the blonde boy flashed a defiant smile, his hand already gripping the barrier's rail. He ripped the barrier open, ignoring the police officer's warnings, and rushed straight into the combat zone. The boy ran, boldly declaring that he would join the hero team and wasn't afraid of the puny monstros. He swung his toy sword up, preparing to launch an imaginary attack. Wham! A gigantic monster hand descended from above, snatching the straw hero boy. The boy's face turned pale, freezing in terror as he faced the giant monster's cold, purple eyes. A towering lizard-like monstro, with bulging muscles, stood amidst the city's ruins. His two friends stood behind the barrier, terrified as they witnessed the horrifying scene. The police officer also panicked, shouting frantically, It's a monstro! He hastily called on his radio, urgently reporting that a large monstro had appeared and captured a child. The two remaining friends cried out in despair, begging the police officer to save their friend. The police officer fired continuously, but his puny weapon only managed to tickle the monster's tough hide. It let out an earth-shattering roar, its wide maw revealing jagged teeth. With its razor-sharp claws, the monster clung tightly to the glass wall, preparing to climb. With just a few leaps, its gigantic body soared high along the skyscraper's facade. The lizard monster clung firmly to the building, its hand still tightly gripping its toy. The captured blonde boy cried out in tears, "Help! I'm so scared." The police officer gritted his teeth, continuing to fire his gun into the sky in vain. He watched the monster climb higher and higher, completely out of reach. Damn it, my bullets can't reach. The police officer bitterly realized the harsh truth. Out of options, he yelled into his radio, his voice panicked. "Requesting air support." I repeat, requesting air support. Whoosh. A dark shadow streaked past the police officer as fast as the wind. A figure in pitch-black combat armor leapt into the air, charging straight towards the building. The two friends on the ground cheered excitedly. That uniform, it's the hero's. Mid-air, the hero raised his hand, and a surge of blue energy gathered, forming a razor-sharp slash. The energy slash shot forth, leaving a brilliant blue streak across the night sky. The hero landed on the wall, facing the monster, and the blonde boy shouted in delight. "It's Captain Hasuda!" Ren Haneda, Bon's father, drew his twin swords, his sharp eyes focused on the target. Slash. A clean sword strike cut deep into the monster's neck, black blood splattering everywhere. The lizard monster, struck by the blow, staggered back before the hero's overwhelming power. The lizard monster opened its maw full of sharp fangs, intending to devour Ren Haneda whole. Thud. The snap missed, and its head foolishly slammed into the building's glass wall. The hero performed a mid-air flip, dodging the attack cleanly like a professional. His eyes were cold, locked onto the target, still dazed after its self-inflicted blow. Whoosh! An energy spear flew in from nowhere, pinning the monster to the wall. To its astonishment, the monster exploded into pieces, sending the blonde boy, who was in freefall, flying. The boy could only cover his head, waiting for death in despair. Ren Haneda landed coolly, one arm securely holding the boy who had just escaped death's door. His friends on the ground cheered excitedly. "Captain, you're amazing." The hero knelt down to check on the boy, who stammered out profuse thanks for saving his life. The children rushed over, clamoring, each wanting a photo with the idol who had just performed such a spectacular feat. Ren Haneda smiled kindly, agreeing immediately. "Of course, feel free." Flashlights flared as he posed with his young fans. The rescued blonde boy grinned widely, his face beaming with satisfaction. A breaking news report appeared. The female reporter announced, "Hero Team Captain Tsutomu Hasuda has successfully rescued a child." At home, Bon stared dumbfounded at the TV screen, muttering in disbelief. "Dad." The boy sprang up, his face filled with determination. "Dad is in danger. I have to go help him," despite his mother's frantic attempts to stop him. A memory suddenly flooded back. Ren Haneda, in a dashing suit, poked his head through the door. "Bon, happy birthday." Little Bon brightly shouted with joy. "Dad." The memory continued. Little Bon was being held by his father, crying profusely. "I'm sorry. I said I hated you, but I didn't mean it. I'm just glad you're okay." While his father, Ren Haneda, looked bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Ren Haneda smiled gently, telling his son, "Oh, that's right. I met your friends earlier. They said they wanted to talk to you." Peeking out from behind his father were Bon's two young friends, shyly waving hello. Little Bon turned back in surprise, eyes wide. "You guys." The blonde boy in the cap, representing the group, held out a gift box and sincerely said, "Bon, I'm sorry for doubting you." The others chimed in agreement. The blonde boy asked hopefully, "Can you forgive us? Will you still be our friend?" Ren Haneda looked at his son, silent but with encouraging eyes. His father smirked, putting on a truly manly air. "As a man, you know what to do, right?" Little Bon grinned, accepted the gift, and shouted, "Of course, we'll always be friends." The other kids jumped for joy, one even demanding to call Bon boss. Ren Haneda glanced at the wall clock, sighing in relief. Still in time before midnight. His father turned to his pink-haired wife, cheerfully suggesting, "Let's eat the cake." But his mother looked visibly awkward, and here was the birthday cake masterpiece. A messy, lopsided white blob sitting prominently on the plate. All the kids froze, staring at the blob with horrified eyes. "Is this really cake? Can we actually eat this?" Ren Haneda completely collapsed, his face darkening, muttering in anguish. "I poured my heart and soul into that cake. Why did it turn out like this?" Seeing the tense situation, Little Bon slowly backed away, intending to sneak off quietly. Thump! A towering dark figure appeared behind him, Ren Haneda radiating intense killing intent, while Bon's face went utterly pale. Ren Haneda chased after his mischievous son with a belt, yelling, "Do you know how long it took me to make that?" Bon ran for his life, screaming, "I'm sorry." Back in reality, Ren Dabon, in Shura's body, recalled, his eyes complex. "Angry? Of course I was." The fox girl, Pooh, exploded upon hearing this, declaring as if it were absolute truth. "Irresponsible parents are the worst. I felt sorry for them, so I had to teach them a lesson." Ren Dabon gently replied to the fox girl. "But that was only once." He smiled, his eyes full of pride. "My father is my pride." Pooh froze, speechless at the unexpected answer. Suddenly, Pooh flared up, swatting Ren Dabon's hand away and yelling, "What, you think I pity you? Never! Don't touch me!" All of a sudden, a strong force yanked Pooh backward, making her stumble. Pooh was violently pulled backward, unable to react in time. Two burly hyena men emerged from the shadows, cackling savagely as they had captured Pooh with a rope. Ren Dabon frowned, realizing these thugs had been lurking in town earlier. Pooh recognized her enemies in a panic, gritting her teeth. "Hyenas!" The rope tightened around Pooh's neck, making her unable to resist. The hyena leader bared his teeth and sneered. Give up, it's useless. This rope is woven from my fur, hard as steel. You can't cut it. He grabbed Pua's hair, growling. I thought hunting you down would be exhausting, but who knew you'd walk right into our trap? Pu struggled, gathering all her courage to threaten. Let me go. Do you know who my father is? Touch a single strand of my hair, and you'll suffer a fate worse than death. The leader scoffed, looking defiant. Oh, really? Then tell me, who is he? Pu puffed out her chest, declaring loudly. Listen closely, you mongrels. I am the daughter of the Beast Clan chief. The two hyenas seemed to freeze, the henchman repeating in surprise. The chief? Pu smirked triumphantly, thinking she had turned the tables. Scared now, aren't you? Release me right this instant, and I might spare your lives. The entire hyena gang burst into insane laughter, thinking it was the most ridiculous joke on earth, while Pu still strained her neck to argue. It's true. The leader suddenly turned brutal, his eyes flashing with fire. Even better then. It's because of that old man that we were banished to this dump. Well, feast on your esteemed chief when he comes to save you. Pu was still being held by the neck but strained to challenge. Go ahead and try it. A hyena henchman turned to ask his boss, glancing towards Ren Daban, who was sitting on the ground. Boss, what about that guy? Ren Daban quickly waved his hand, betraying the girl without hesitation. I'm not involved. If you want to eat meat, just take her. Pu froze, then screamed in indignation. You ungrateful bastard. Betrayed, Pu spitefully turned the tables, pointing directly at Ren Daban. Let me tell you, he's a demon. There's a bounty on his head if you catch him. Ren Daban flew into a rage. You dare betray me? But Pu was just as defiant. You abandoned me first. One of the hyena's hands grabbed Ren Daban's hair, revealing his pair of pitch-black demon horns. The leader bared his teeth, looking slightly surprised. Damn it, he really is a demon. What do we do now? Suddenly, the ground cracked open as two sickly green roots emerged. A gigantic carnivorous flower sprouted from the earth, its roots already tightly wrapped around Ren Daban. A hyena henchman shrieked in terror. The leader flinched and stepped back, while Pu calmly explained the rules. He looks like he's about to be drained dry. If you steal Sayo's prey, you'll take his place. The leader narrowed his eyes at Pu, realizing he had been tricked. So this was your plan? The girl smirked. You're not as dumb as you look. Are you? In a flash, the leader circled behind her, grabbing Pu tightly, causing her extreme terror. Thud. The hyena kicked Pu straight to the ground, placing his foot menacingly on her back. He declared he would slaughter Pu on the spot to prevent future harm, even though the girl lay flattened on the ground, blood flowing from her temple. But her eyes were still full of resentment. Ren Daban, still tightly bound by the monster plant, could only sit silently watching the lightning-fast turn of events. The leader roared, raising his sharp claws high, preparing to finish off Pu. Pu desperately screamed, no, as the claws of death were about to descend. In the midst of the tension, a voice rang out from the bound prey. What kind of man is afraid of a carnivorous flower? Ren Daban, still tightly wrapped by the plant roots, boasted loudly. Don't underestimate my endurance. I'm not some one-hit fodder like you guys. The leader of the hyenas bared his jagged teeth and growled. Who are you calling one-hit fodder? Ren Daban smirked provocatively, looking directly at the hyenas pressing down on Pu. Good reaction. Didn't I tell you the truth? You bastard. He continued to provoke, raising his middle finger. If you dare come at me, you losers. The leader went berserk, roared, I'll kill you, then charged straight at Ren Daban, leaving Pu lying there. Ren Daban merely sneered, calmly waiting. All right, if you're so tough, come get me. Whoosh. The hyena glided forward with terrifying speed, aiming straight for the bound Ren Daban. Just as the claws were about to connect, Ren Daban narrowly dodged the attack. The leader missed his lunge and was immediately seized by the roots of the carnivorous flower, becoming the substitute target. Ren Daban landed lightly, casually dusting himself off while the hyena was suspended in midair. The monster flower opened its fanged maw wide, ready to devour its new prey. Whoosh! Other sharp roots shot out, surrounding the panicked leader. Ren Daban sighed in relief, muttering, Good thing I escaped. The leader realized he had been tricked, frantically screaming, You damn demon! You dared to use me! Thud. The monster flower wasted no words, using its roots to smash the hyena straight into the ground, crushing it. The two remaining thugs froze, stammering. The boss, who had the thickest skin, was taken down in one blow. Ren Daban stood there, a powerful blue aura flared around him, his sharp eyes fixed on the fallen hyena. He smirked, feeling his strength returning. Looks like I've recovered a bit. Ren Daban smirked, realizing that these trash hyenas not only drained mana, but also secretly stole the power of other clans. He looked at the leader's corpse, muttering that even though the disgusting flower made his legs tremble, it was time to use its blood to regain strength. The two hyena thugs saw their boss get eliminated and immediately fled, screaming in terror, We can't fight it. Run. Ren Daban snapped, yelling at the fleeing weaklings. Hey, don't run. That's my elixir. He suddenly paused, a thought flashing through his mind. With a cunning smile, Ren Daban whispered, Wait, there's still one left. His gaze swept towards the fox girl, Pu, lying flattened on the ground, her face pale. Ren Daban stood up straight, with the blood-stained blade in his hand, letting out a cold laugh under the night sky. Pu recoiled in panic as his shadow enveloped her, stammering, What are you going to do? Killing intent surged from him. Ren Dabun growled. You pushed me into hell. You know that. Do you think I'll let you go that easily? The sharp blade, covered in blood, flashed with a deadly gleam. The corpse of the hyena leader lay sprawled on the ground, completely lifeless. Ren Dabun looked down with lifeless eyes, his killing intent reaching its peak. Pooh broke out in a cold sweat, realizing his eyes had completely changed. He really intends to kill me. He raised his blade high, preparing to deliver the finishing blow to the helpless fox girl. Pooh closed her eyes and screamed in despair. I was wrong. Please don't kill me. While a severed strap fell to the ground, Ren Dabun stood there, holding a piece of fabric he had just cut from her clothing. He bent down, holding the piece of fabric in front of the bewildered Pooh, who was kneeling. Pooh looked up, only to hear his cold voice. If you don't want to die from blood loss, go to the clinic yourself. I'm not carrying you. Pooh could only watch silently as Ren Dabun turned his back and walked away alone under the night sky, as cold as a ghost. Seeing the fox girl still sitting there, Ren Dabun growled, explaining that he was going to find the Maima flower, and didn't have time to stay and wait for the hyenas to bring reinforcements. Left behind, Pooh quickly stood up and shouted loudly, demanding to follow. The fox girl ran headlong after the half-demon, but the difference in their physical stamina was clearly vast. Suddenly, Pooh felt dizzy, her strength drained. She fell face first to the ground in the most pathetic way possible. Ren Dabun turned back, his face full of annoyance. Again? Don't you have any other tricks? Seeing the girl unresponsive, he approached and shook her awake. Pooh was completely unconscious, her face pale from blood loss. Ren Dabun muttered, realizing the girl had truly fainted and wasn't faking it. Just then, a surge of killing intent made him snap. Who are these bastards? Whoosh! A sharp spear flew past Ren Dabun, embedding itself in the ground right next to Pooh. Two guardian figures appeared, a giant bear man and a wolf man wielding weapons, radiating intense killing intent. Ren Dabun immediately recognized them as the beastkin from the checkpoint, wondering why they had tracked him. From behind, a female centaur and a cat girl rushed forward, shouting loudly for Pooh. Milady! The cat girl hugged the unconscious Pooh tightly, crying desperately. Milady, don't die. If you die, how will I explain it to the clan chief? The female centaur approached, her expression still calm. After checking, she sighed in relief and announced, she's fine, she just fainted from too much blood loss. Hearing the words, young lady and chieftain, Ren Dabun froze, his mind racing. Don't tell me this girl is the chieftain's daughter?